What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3PQ. Chapter 51 Pluton Rayleigh open black lens bracket please collect close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Where to go now? That weapons shop that Zoro went to. There's no need. I already have a soul-cutting object, which is no worse than the famous swords in this world. So let's go to Roger's house. Yang Feng was curious about what Roger's home looked like. This guy was born in Logia Town, so his home was naturally here. Marine wouldn't even demolish Roger's home. Moreover, the Luo family's home has now become a scenic spot in Logia Town, and no one lives in it at all. Just because this is the house of the Pirate King, it has always been abandoned. For a few years, it was directly used as a place for people to play. As the Pirate King, Roger was naturally respected by everyone before he surrendered, but the period between when he surrendered and when he was beheaded did bring a lot of trouble to the sea. Roger himself is indeed a pirate who only knows adventure. He even conquered the Grand Line and reached the legendary end, so he was called the Pirate King. But in Marine's eyes, he must be arrested because he flies the flag of a pirate, so he must be arrested. To be honest, Yang Feng felt that the government in this world was too dark and Marine was too overbearing. As long as you dare to attack Marine, you will be wanted no matter who you are. This is the case for many pirates who only want to take risks. Even if you don't want to be a pirate, sometimes you can't help it. As long as you have a conflict with a Marine, you will be wanted. There is no need to discuss at all, so much so that there are no adventure groups in this world at all. The road has been blocked by Marine. There are only a few types of people on the sea. One type is a merchant ship for doing business, another type is a marine ship, another type is a special ship for nobles and countries, there is also a kind of ship specially used to pull people, and the third type is a pirate ship. There is no such thing as a bullshit simple adventure, because Marine doesn't give you this path. In the end, Marine is cutting out its own escape route. Although Roger said he didn't have any bad intentions, his last words after his death directly started the era of pirates. Countless people went to sea because of his treasure, but only a few took risks, and even more people burned, killed, and looted, so Roger's reputation became bad. In the eyes of pirates, he is a great figure, but in the eyes of civilians, he is an out-and-out devil, because he developed the era, and because he killed countless people, even if he did not mean it. But everything is here, everything started because of him, so everyone naturally puts their hatred on him. Advertisement. The One Piece anime only talked about Roger's deeds and Roger's past, but it did not reveal these negative aspects. When Yang Feng came to this world, he naturally understood the harm caused by such things. Little pirates were everywhere, directly causing endless oppression to the civilians of Dahai. Yang Feng knew that Roger actually meant well and believed that someone must overthrow the world government because if he wanted to follow in his footsteps, he would have to become a pirate. To become a pirate, you must be an enemy of Marine, and being an enemy of Marine will naturally be an enemy of the world government. Roger's calculation is very good. His philosophy is that success requires sacrifice, and he himself is one of the victims. But Yang Feng didn't agree with this approach. He found his new goal. Didn't Roger just want to end the dark rule of the world government? Then let him take over. If he wants to establish his invisible empire, he naturally needs to join the world government. If he does not join the world government, the consequence will be to become a neutral country, or directly become a hostile target, just like the Revolutionary Army. Of course, these are all things for later. At the moment, there are only 92 people on his ship, and the only high-level combat power is Barrow. He can only be regarded as an intermediate level. As for the Shadow Guard, he has a low-level combat power, so there is a long way to go. After asking the residents here along the way, Yang Feng found the house where Roger lived in the past. The house had become extremely dilapidated and no one dared to repair it because it was Roger's house. Let's go in and take a look. As the place where the Pirate King used to live, it can be considered a place of interest. Yang Feng said and walked in. Young master, there is someone here. Suddenly, Barrow, who was following behind, stopped. His Reiatsu sensed that there was someone hiding here. What? Someone? Yang Feng was suddenly startled. He didn't use Reiatsu to sense it carefully because he felt it was unnecessary. At this moment, Barrow suddenly told himself that there was someone here, so he was naturally startled. Alas, young people nowadays are really amazing. I have obviously covered myself with observation hockey, but I was still discovered. Could it be that your observation hockey is stronger than mine? A helpless voice came from the attic, and then a middle-aged man slowly walked down from the second floor. Advertisement. Pluton Rayleigh. After seeing this person, Yang Feng called out his name with some uncertainty. This person looked too familiar. I was recognized. By the way, do the people in East Blue know my name? If I had known, I wouldn't have followed the captain on the ship, and it would be a problem for me to retire now. The person who came was none other than Pluton Rayleigh, but he looked younger than he was now more than 10 years later, and he didn't look like a bad old man. Pluton Rayleigh, you should be in Sabayati Archipelago, why are you here? Yang Feng looked confused. Shouldn't this guy find a place as a coder in Sabayati Archipelago? Moreover, he would sell himself from time to time, and then plunder the house of the person who bought him, and continue to live freely. This guy actually appeared in Logia Town now, how could Yang Feng not be surprised? You actually know that I am living in seclusion in the Sabayati Archipelago. Are you a Marine? No, even a Marine shouldn't know. Rayleigh was depressed. Why was he suddenly exposed? First he was discovered by this young man with only one eye open, and then his identity was revealed by this little brat. He also revealed the location of his seclusion. This was even a matter of time. Marine doesn't even know. Well, it is you, so what are you doing here? Don't tell me that you are still attached to Roger's house a few years after his death. I don't believe it. Yang Feng said with an expression of disbelief. Rayleigh must have his own purpose in coming to Logia Town at this time. You are such an unlovable young man. Are today's young people so scary? Why weren't Shanks and Buggy on our ship so scary back then? Rayleigh complained with a helpless look. Yang Feng was also speechless. You don't know Shanks' future achievements. He is one of the 4 emperors, but Buggy is indeed a bit useless. Chapter 52. How about making a deal? Open black lens bracket. Ask for collection. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Okay, Pluton Rayleigh, what exactly is your purpose here? Yang Feng asked. He didn't think Pluton Rayleigh was here to cherish his old relationship. Don't care so much about my purpose as an old man. I'm about to become a bad old man. What purpose can I have? Isn't it just to come here to remember the captain? What purpose can I have? Rayleigh said with a lazy look on his face, but Yang Feng found a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. Yang Feng was immediately shocked. This old guy wanted to kill himself. He shouldn't have said that he wanted to kill both him and Barrow. Lose. Because this old guy we saw is here, he plans to kill us. But Rayleigh is not such a murderer. There must be some unknown secret. Yang Feng narrowed his eyes as he thought about it. Suddenly, an idea came to his mind. He seemed to understand why this guy was here now. If his guess was true, it would be a coincidence. Pluton Rayleigh, are you here to store the Maramara fruit? Yang Feng asked a question that sounded incomprehensible to outsiders, but in Rayleigh's ears it was like thunder. How is it possible? How does this kid know the purpose of me coming here? Could it be that he guessed it? Impossible. Even if he guessed that I came here to put something, he wouldn't know that it is Maramara fruit. Rayleigh's brows immediately wrinkled, and the murderous intent in his eyes became even stronger. This time, he didn't know how to restrain himself at all. Now that you know it, go to hell, kid. Although I'm sorry, this secret cannot be known to others yet. Rayleigh was also unambiguous. He pulled out the knife from his waist and disappeared in an instant. The next thing he saw, he appeared behind Yang Feng, swinging the knife in his hand. It's a pity that this blow didn't work. After all, there is a Barrow here who can rival Kaido. Even though Barrow is not the opponent of Rayleigh in his heyday, it is still very easy to block his casual blow. Sorry, I can't let you hurt my young master. Barrow said expressionlessly after blocking Rayleigh's knife with his spiritual spear Tiankui, but his eyes showed endless killing intent. This guy actually wanted to take action against his own young master. He simply had enough of life. Advertisement. You are very strong, but are you sure you are my opponent? Rayleigh's face darkened, and he realized that he seemed unable to kill these 2 people today, and once the sound of fighting here spreads, Marine would definitely be attracted outside, and then the plan would be in vain. Pluton Rayleigh, I know what you are thinking now. Because your secret has been exposed, you plan to kill us to silence us. But to be honest, I don't think you can kill us. Even if Barrow can't beat you, there is absolutely no problem in leaving. Yang Feng's face was still calm. He knew that Rayleigh wanted to keep the secret, so he planned to kill him, but with Barrow here, he didn't have to worry about these problems. Damn you brat, you actually plotted against me. Tell me what your purpose is. And how did you know about this? Rayleigh's face darkened. He realized that he really couldn't kill these 2 people, so he could only sit back where he was before and ask slowly. It's very simple. I can see some fragments of the future, and naturally I understand the purpose of your coming here. Aren't you just for Ace? Roger's son, you must know, that's why you put Maramara fruit here. In order to provide Ace with some self-protection ability when he goes to sea in the future. Yang Feng was also unambiguous and directly exposed the fact that Roger had a son. This issue was not discussed in detail in the original work, but Yang Feng did not think that other people on Roger's ship did not know about it. Maybe Shanks and others don't know, but Rayleigh, the deputy captain, must know. Do you even know that Roger has a son? I believe what you said now. The captain only told me and Garp about this matter, but Garp always thought that he was the only one who knew about it. Rayleigh said helplessly that he did believe it because Roger told him about this before the pirate group was disbanded, and he also knew that Roger was terminally ill and would not live long. But he didn't want Roger to abandon his wife and children. In his opinion, although Roger's behavior could cause changes in the times, he abandoned his wife and children, and it was still a sensitive period. In the end, it took Rouge 20 months to give birth to Ace. It's hard to imagine how a mother could keep a child in her belly for 20 months. Even Rayleigh couldn't help crying when he saw this scene. On the one hand, he felt sorry for the 2 of them, but on the other hand, he didn't dare to intervene. Once he intervened, Rouge's actions would be in vain. So he had been watching secretly, and gradually he became dissatisfied with Roger. Why do you have to let your wife and children endure all this? He came here on his own initiative at this moment. After a few years, Marine wouldn't be watching here. He put the Maramara fruit here, knowing that Ace would definitely come. Advertisement. No matter how much Ace hates his father, Roger is still his father in the end, so he will definitely come, and when the time comes, he will naturally send this thing. He had already thought about it. After so long, naturally no strong person would come again. As for the new generation, they would only go to see the execution platform. Only Ace, as his son, would come here, but he never expected that someone would come looking for him and find him directly. The future I saw was just some fragments, and I only understood a few things. However, one of the fragments I saw in the future was of Ace being executed. Do you know what this means? Yang Feng said with a smile on his face. He knew that this guy would definitely take the bait if he said this. What? Execution? What on earth is going on? Rayleigh asked with a panicked look on her face. Don't ask me, I don't know very well. Maybe you can go to the Fishman Island and ask a fish man named Sha Li. She is a fortune teller. Of course, you don't have to worry about the secret being leaked. Anyway, what I saw is just a fragment. That's all. Yang Feng threw out a bait and asked Rayleigh to bite it. What he said was true, even if Rayleigh went to find it, that was all. I know, I will verify it, so now you can tell me your purpose. Rayleigh looked at Yang Feng with burning eyes. Of course, my purpose is very simple. How about we make a deal? Yang Feng smiled. The old guy took the bait. Chapter 53 The deal with Rayleigh, please collect. Advertisement. What deal? Rayleigh asked subconsciously. He felt that the reality was a bit not good. He seemed to be led by the little kid in front of him. He didn't know what this little kid who could see the future meant. But what Rayleigh doesn't know is that this is the benefit of being a time traveler, and it is also the capital of a time traveler. He is familiar with the plot, and with a certain amount of strength, he can naturally influence many things, because he almost knows the secrets in these people's hearts that others do not know. Clear. The only pity is that it wasn't finished when he traveled through time, so he wasn't very clear about some things. The deal is simple. I'll trade Ace's life for 20 years of your life. Yang Feng made his own request. Do you want to get on your ship? Rayleigh was immediately shocked. The boy in front of him was so brave that he actually wanted to get on his boat. Wrong, what I want is not for you to get on my boat. What I want is for you to use your 20 years to help me do something. Yang Feng had already thought about his request when he saw Rayleigh. What on earth is going on? Rayleigh was almost going crazy. This guy didn't finish his sentence and kept hanging halfway, which made Rayleigh unhappy for a while, but at the same time, he was also very helpless. After all, the control was in other people's hands, and he had no way to kill them. Help me collect devil fruit. In 20 years, help me collect as many devil fruit as possible, whether it's zone, paramesha, or even Logia. In short, no matter how long it takes, 20 years, help me collect it. Quote. Yang Feng made his request decisively. Devil fruit. Why do you need so many devil fruits? Are you planning to form an army of espers? Rayleigh was immediately confused. Could it be that the boy in front of him planned to form an army of ability users? But even if they find enough devil fruit, not everyone can become a strong person at will. After all, a strong person is not a cabbage. If it was so easy to become a strong person, then everyone in the sea would not be looking for devil fruit, so it would be impossible. The time and energy required would be too great. Advertisement. Don't worry about it. You just need to help me find 20 years. In short, I saved Ace's life during that catastrophe. It's that simple. Yang Feng didn't want to waste more words with Rayleigh, he just needed Rayleigh to do it. 20 years is too long, I can't always be looking for devil fruit. Rayleigh said and shook his head. How many 20 years are there in life? Even Ace Rayleigh is very hesitant. After all, he is not young anymore. He will really become a bad old man in 20 years, so he cannot withstand the ravages of time. Then 10 years, this is my bottom line, 10 years to help me collect devil fruit, otherwise we will break up. Yang Feng also retreated. He didn't expect Rayleigh to agree to the 20-year deadline from the beginning. He would be surprised if Rayleigh really agreed. By the way, it shouldn't be difficult for you to have at least one pill every year. After all, you only need 10 pills. I don't think this is too much. Yang Feng shook his head as he spoke. For a strong person like Rayleigh, finding devil fruit is too easy. No matter whether they rob, steal, or whatever, for them, devil fruit can be obtained almost at any time. Because there are no requirements, the most valuable thing in the new world is probably the zone fruit. People who can enter the new world are generally strong, and no one will eat any trashy zone fruit they find. It was thrown directly into the auction house and sold, so it is not considered a very valuable item in New World devil fruit. One a year. No problem, then I'll give you these two first. I encountered these when I was giving fruits to Ace mobile phones. One is the zone monkey fruit in the form of a gorilla, and the other is paramesha rubber. Just wipe the fruit and develop the specific abilities yourself, so there will only be 8 years left. Rayleigh took out 2 boxes directly from the room behind him, which contained 2 strange-shaped fruits, and then introduced the abilities of the fruits. This is really a big surprise. 2 of them came at once. You are really powerful. Where did you find these fruits? Yang Feng was very interested in this. How did Rayleigh find so many fruits? I came across one at the auction house, so I took it back. After comparing it with the illustrated book, I found that it was useless. As for the paramesha fruit, it was found on an abandoned sky island. Rayleigh said and introduced the location where he was looking for the 2 fruits. By the way, Rayleigh, let me ask you a question. Who owns those warships outside? Are there any big shots from the Marine Corps here? Advertisement. Yang Feng decisively asked for information. Can't you see the future? You don't even know this. Rayleigh immediately became suspicious. You think the future is a cabbage. It's good to be able to see a little bit, and what you see are only fragments. Even Sha Li from the Fishman Island can only predict a vague future. How can it be possible to know everything? No. Yang Feng looked at Rayleigh with an idiotic expression on his face and said. Rayleigh burst into laughter when he was stared at like this, and his old face turned completely red with shame. Ahem, let's not talk about it for now. Don't you want to know who owns the warship outside? Let me tell you, it belongs to Zephyr. Marine's original headquarters was Admiral Zephyr, but now he has retired to become a recruit instructor. The Admiral has already chosen where to play. Rayleigh said with a trace of nostalgia slowly showing in her eyes. In their era, these people were all powerful big brother figures, but unfortunately things have changed now. As they get older, their physical strength becomes less and less than before, and their strength naturally begins to slowly decline. Zephyr's. Why is he here? Yang Feng was stunned. Didn't Zephyr stay at naval headquarters? Why did you suddenly come to East Blue? It's said to be training for recruits. I don't think there is any reason other than this reason for him to come to East Blue. Rayleigh touched his mustache and said. I see. By the way, Rayleigh, do you think the ships that came out of naval headquarters and were brought by Zephyr would have devil fruit on them? Suddenly Yang Feng asked such a question, which shocked Rayleigh. Don't be ridiculous, kid. He is Black Arm Zephyr. Although he has retired and become an admiral, his strength is still here and has not declined much. Seeing that Yang Feng was trying to take advantage of Zephyr, Rayleigh felt that she was not good at all. Chapter 54 The Second Summoning. Please collect. Advertisement. Okay, old man, I don't want to die so young. I just want to know if there is devil fruit on his ship, and I plan to steal his ship when I leave. Holding two boxes, the smile on Yang Feng's lips became thicker. He was not confused by the appearance of Zephyr or found it difficult to deal with. With these two fruits, he could summon new characters. Everyone in the Star-Crossed Knights has terrifying combat power. Even if they are not one of the four great guards, they should have admiral-level combat power. It's really crazy, but maybe with the protection of this little brother beside you. Anyway, don't die, otherwise the deal between me and you will be invalid. Rayleigh was also helpless. He found that today's young people are more cunning and courageous than the last, but they just don't know what their strength is. He could feel that Barrow, who was standing silently by the side, was not much inferior to him in strength. Maybe he could defeat Barrow, but it was almost impossible to kill him. A strong man of the same level would have to pay a high price even if he wanted to kill someone one level below himself. After all, this world is not a fantasy world, and there is no such thing as a mysterious realm. It's just to define the level of strength that bounties and military ranks are used to define strength, and the strength gap in this world is not like that in the fantasy world. The difference between one level and another is a world of difference. Let's go, old man. Remember to agree to my request. There are 8 pills left, 1 a year. Otherwise, I don't care about Ace's life or death. Yang Feng said as he waved to Rayleigh and left with Barrow. He didn't expect that he would gain so much this time. He originally came here just to take a look. But he didn't expect to meet Pluton Rayleigh and make this deal. Ace's execution would be more than 10 years later. Yang Feng didn't believe that he could still beat Marine after more than 10 years. At this moment, his only thought was to find a place to absorb devil fruit, which would not only enhance his strength, but also summon new characters. What do you mean by this summoning function? It makes Yang Feng feel both love and hate. After all, it was luck. He summoned Barrow from the beginning. It can be said that he is a European among Europeans. But it won't be clear in the future. The guys who were instantly killed by Zaraki Kenpachi after being summoned by the gadget must be considered bad luck. After all, there are levels of strength in the Knights of the Star Cross. After carrying 2 devil fruits to the forest outside Logue Town, Yang Feng opened the box, revealing 2 strange-shaped fruits. Advertisement. System. Absorb 2 fruits. Yang Feng communicates directly with the system. The system does not have any services or the like, not even a system wizard. Yang Feng has complained about this many times, but to no avail. In an instant, the 2 fruits turned into a white light and disappeared into Yang Feng's hands. The numbers in the system panel also changed, and the avatars summoned by the characters also lit up. Reiatsu level. Captain level beginner. Skills held. Reiatsu training method. Flying Lianjiao. Spirit concentration. Holy destruction arrow. After thinking about it, the level has no real use, it just depends on the proficiency of the application, so it was cancelled. Equipment held. Silver Ridge Arc Bird. Silver Barrel. Soul Cutting Object. What I learned in this world is not among them. His attributes have changed, and he has more equipment. The most important thing is his Reiatsu level. 2 devil fruits directly pushed him to the captain level. In fact, it is not too much. Even if he eats 1 fruit, he wants to becoming a strong person also requires constant development. Yang Feng directly absorbed the power and reached the first level of captain. In terms of real combat power, it should be similar to the current 3rd admiral who just took office not long ago. Facing the current Zephyr, it is even worse. After all, Zephyr's arm is still intact at this moment, he does not have asthma, and he is not over 70 years old. Therefore, like Garp and others, Zephyr's physical strength has not declined yet, and his combat power is naturally not comparable to that of the current new 3 admiral. The current 3 admirals are Kizaru, Aokiji, and Akainu, each of whom is a Logia fruit user, and the fruit's abilities are all at the top level. Akainu's lava fruit, Kizaru's sparkling fruit, and Please Eat's frozen fruit, all 3 are Logia's top fruits, and each of them has been developed with considerable intensity, and they all have supergroup attack skills. Of course, these guys were all taught by Zephyr. It can be said that almost most of the entire marine was brought out by Zephyr. Whether it is vice admiral or admiral, all of them are students of Zephyr. But Zephyr was always betrayed by the world government, and his enemy, Wabel, who cut off his arm and killed a large number of his students, was summoned to become the new Shichibukai. So Zephyr couldn't stand it any longer, he sentenced Marine directly, and established a new Marine END Marine. He eventually died at the hands of Kizaru. He can be regarded as a legend. Advertisement. But this is not the time to care about Zephyr. No matter how powerful Zephyr is, he is just one person. His current combat power has reached the Admiral level, and Barrow next to him has almost the 4 Emperors level of combat power, which can be said to be terrifying to the extreme. In addition, new characters will be summoned in the future. Once summoned, they will at least be of Admiral level. If they are lucky enough to summon a fatal amount, they will be very lucky. They will be full of fake 4 Emperors level characters. The heavens are spirited, the earth is spirited, the Supreme Lord, Guanyin Bodhisattva, must bless me to draw a good character, let's go. Yang Feng muttered a series of names of gods he knew before decisively starting the summons, and then the character's avatar moved again. Don't summon those guys who were killed instantly. Yang Feng looked at the character's avatar nervously. Barrow was speechless, right? Isn't it just to summon your colleagues? Of course, Barrow couldn't see the system panel, otherwise he would probably become as neurotic as Yang Feng. It's her. Finally, the character portrait stopped, and Yang Feng also opened his eyes, and what came into view was a very beautiful face. Bambietta Basta is married. Yes, the character summoned this time is Bambietta Basta. She is a very lively girl, but her personality is different from her appearance. She likes to kill people who are weaker than herself. Once she is in a bad mood, she will kill the killer. In the original work, after learning that the heir was Ishida Ryu, he was so angry that he directly killed a shadow guard. His character was extremely cruel. To be honest, Yang Feng didn't like this character. Fatty tried his best to extend the free chapters to more than 60 chapters, but this is the limit. I am here to ask for support. Anyone with flowers, review tickets, and monthly tickets will be accepted. Of course, if you don't have any, please leave a message in the book review section. At least let me know that this book has not been published yet, thank you. In addition, I personally think that beauty is more eye-catching, and her strength is also good, so ha 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 ha. Chapter 55. The Marriage of Bambietta Basta, please collect. Advertisement. Bambietta Basta comes to meet your majesty in marriage. As soon as he appeared on the stage, Bambietta half knelt on the ground. After experiencing Barrow's example, Yang Feng was naturally no longer surprised and asked Bambietta to stand up. I don't care how you lived in the past. If you are in a bad mood in the future, just ask Barrow for a fight. You are not allowed to torture the people you kill. This is my minimum requirement. As for the rest, you can just ask Barrow for advice. After Yang Feng finished speaking, he began to recall the specific information about Bambietta. What? I'm not the first one summoned by His Majesty. I'm really unhappy. But if Barrow is the first one, it's not bad. As long as it's not that guy Ishida Ryu. Bambietta muttered something to herself and then came to Barrow to learn more about this world. Bambietta Basta is married to one of the few female members of the Knights of the Star Cross. The holy letter E represents explosion. From the moves she uses to carrying the explosion, she is almost a humanoid strategic level existence. Able to turn everything that hits him into bombs for attack, he is completely a queen of explosions. The weapon is different from Barrow. Barrow's is the spiritual gun Tia Grant, while hers is a blade. The forked saber. I have to say that she does look pretty good. She looks exactly like a girl playing cosplay. She is wearing an invisible imperial military uniform that looks like a marine, but underneath is a miniskirt, stockings and boots. Overall, she is quite eye-catching. But most people will be deceived by her appearance. There is no doubt about her strength. Even Sajin Hakumura is not her enemy. Among the Star-Crossed Knights, her strength can only be considered average, but she also has abilities that are beyond average. Captain-level strength. Different from Yang Feng reaching the captain level is equivalent to entering the threshold of Admiral in this world, and they need to surpass it, otherwise they will only have the strength of Admiral backup level. Only if their strength exceeds the captain level can they be regarded as Admiral-level combat power in this world. To be honest, Yang Feng himself doesn't know why. According to the arrangement of the Shinigami world, captain-level existences rely on the weird Zanpakuto ability and Kido ability to fully compete with the Admiral-level combat power in this world. However, the Barrows clearly have combat capabilities that exceed the captain level, but in this world they are restricted to almost a large level. To be honest, Yang Feng cannot figure this out. However, Yang Feng is not a pushover. It is good to have such a strong support. He is not the kind of greedy person, so naturally he will not complain. Advertisement. Bambietta looks extremely pure on the outside, just like a student, but her character is quite bad. As long as she is angry, the people under her will suffer. He likes to use cruel methods to kill his subordinates, which can be regarded as an authentic way of knowing people and not knowing their hearts. In the 1,000-year bloody battle, she was defeated by Sajin Bamura who used the secret technique of humanization, and was later turned into a zombie. It can be regarded as evil retribution, but now she is Yang Feng's subordinate. As long as she gets rid of this evil habits are good for Yang Feng. After all, after spending so much time on the ship with so many old men, having a beautiful girl join us would naturally be a lot more eye-catching. In fact, he has always wondered why the shadow guards are all men, which is quite puzzling to him. After Yang Feng recalled some information about Bambietta, the conversation between Barrow and Bambietta was almost over. This is the basic information of this world. The other thing is that you'd better change your habits, otherwise I'm not sure whether His Majesty will kill you. This Majesty is different from the original one. He cares very much about the feelings of his subordinates, but it doesn't mean you can do whatever you want, and remember to call your Majesty, young master, now is not the time to call your Majesty. Barrow's eyes told Bambietta clear information about the world and the character of Yang Feng. Really, you want me to change this habit, but if His Majesty requests it, it is indeed possible. After all, His Majesty also gave me my life. Bambietta said nonchalantly, she just needed a way to relieve her stress. At worst, just like Yang Feng said, she would just find a fight with Ba. That's almost it. You should know the basic information about this world. Looking at Bambietta, Yang Feng asked. It's all ready, Your Majesty. No, I should call you young master. After showing off her cuteness, Bambietta said, to be honest, Yang Feng was really attracted by the cuteness. Although Bambietta's appearance is not a Lolita, she is still in the form of a girl, and she has this face. Yang Feng was actually tricked by the malicious show of cuteness, and his face was bloody due to the cuteness. Advertisement. Very good, I'll leave the job of being the ship's mascot to you from now on. Yang Feng, who had a bloody look on his face, patted Bambietta on the shoulder solemnly and said sincerely. But this time, Bambietta didn't speak. She didn't know what to say. This Majesty is actually so cute by her cuteness. Doesn't this mean that he is qualified to become a princess? Thinking of this, Bambietta's eyes became hot. This was her only chance to stand above others. Thinking about the scene where she commanded other members of the Star-Crossed Knights after becoming the princess, she felt that she had enough in this life. Don't be in a daze, Bambietta. We're ready to go. You're here to join us. We're going to have a big fuss tonight. It might be good if we can get that person with peak admiral strength out. Barrow said with a flash of fighting spirit in his eyes. His current strength is sandwiched between admiral and 4 emperors. Logically speaking, he has not been strengthened and cannot become stronger in a short period of time. But the Marine 6 styles of this world gave him a surprise, and his physical strength began to increase. This gave him hope of becoming stronger. This was just the 6th stage that was said to be superhuman physical skills. What if it was hockey? He also wanted to know how powerful the bullet that entangled armament hockey was. This is an opportunity for him to become stronger, so he naturally hopes to fight against the strong men in this world and continue to grow from the battle. It's really strange, Barrow. You actually think about fighting. Aren't you always lazy? Even in the internal battles of the knights, you didn't participate. Bambietta looked at the fiery Barrow and couldn't help but complain. There was no way Barrow's current performance was too suspicious. You will understand later, now catch up with the young master. Barrow slowed down for a moment and then quickly followed Yang Feng's pace, and said something to Bambietta that was very mysterious to Bambietta. Chapter 56. Stealing the warship, please collect. Advertisement. It was getting late, and it was time for Yang Feng and the others to take action. They aimed at the largest warship. According to Yang Feng, it was not easy to grab something at once, but of course they had to grab the best one. Even if Bambietta is not summoned this time, there will be no problem for him. After all, his strength has reached the admiral level, and Barrow has almost reached the 4 emperors level. It is certainly not very difficult to deal with a Zephyr. Compared to our ship, this one is indeed very good. Barrow looked at the top warship in front of him and said, Zephyr was still an admiral level person at the beginning. Even though he has retired now, his strength is still here. He is a proper admiral peak level and the warship he uses is the top-notch warship. Too much. Who are you? What are you doing here? This is Marine's warship. Marine who was guarding the port saw Yang Feng and others approaching the warship and decisively started to block it. However, when these two guys saw Bambietta, their eyes turned into red hearts. So beautiful, even more beautiful than Miss Ain. This was the second sentence that came out of Marine's mouth when he stopped Yang Feng and others. Your charm is so great, Bambietta, that even these Marines were fascinated. Yang Feng looked at the several Marines in front of him speechlessly. Have these guys never seen beautiful women? You must know that it is a conclusion that there are no ugly women in the second dimension. And the most important thing is that there are not many ugly women in the One Piece world. Almost every one of them appears as relatively beautiful. Of course, the people from Auntie's place are not counted. Those guys all have the same gene, and there are very few beautiful ones. Allah, all right, young master, please don't say that to me. I can't be happy to be praised by these guys. These guys are really disgusting. Bambietta looked at the two pig-like Marines with disgust. These two guys were really wretched. To be honest, the male Marines in the Marines were all weird except for some special ones. Of course, the world of One Piece is a weird world to begin with, and the lives it breeds are also weird. What are you talking about? This is Marine's territory. If you insult Marine like this, be careful, we will arrest you directly. Marine's majesty cannot be compromised. Advertisement. I have to say that Marine's brainwashing is relatively successful. These guys are dedicated to defending Marine's justice, but only some people can achieve true justice. Don't be so anxious. It's too much to be arrested just for scolding you. Now let me ask you, does this warship belong to Zephyr? Yang Feng glanced at Bambietta helplessly and asked. Bambietta's character is really too bad, and Yang Feng naturally thought about it. As long as he doesn't do anything to his own people, it doesn't matter if others are cruel. It's nothing, After all, kind people in this world generally don't live long. Not everyone has the halo of the protagonist. Did you know? This warship is indeed the warship of Marine's former Lord Admiral Zephyr, but it has been used as a training warship for recruits. Children, if you want to ask Lord Zephyr for an autograph, you should probably go to Marine in Logue Town. Base, Lord Zephyr is not on the warship right now. After seeing that the person asking the question was a child, their expression softened a little, and they answered Yang Feng's question. After all, they were people on the Zephyr ship, so there would naturally be no bullying. Aren't you here? But it doesn't matter. Now you two, please have a peaceful sleep. After saying that, two black figures emerged from the shadows behind the two people. Who? The two Marines who had just realized that there was someone behind them were knocked unconscious by the two shadow guards and fell softly to the ground. Send these people farther away, otherwise it will probably affect them later. After Yang Feng finished speaking, the two shadow guards picked up the two Marines and disappeared. These shadow guards were summoned after summoning Bambietta, and they were also 100 people. Young master, why don't you kill these guys? They are obviously enemies. Bambietta looked at Yang Feng with a dissatisfied look and asked. In her eyes, since he is an enemy, he must be killed. This is her philosophy. Don't be so bloodthirsty. After all, the main thing this time is to grab things, not to kill people. Moreover, these people will not have any impact on us, so let's spare their lives. Yang Feng shook his head. Although there are mobs in Marine, there is a problem. The mobs are only a small part. Most people are just like Zephyr and Garp. Advertisement. Therefore, he does not intend to completely eliminate the only hope for the existence of the people of this world. Before his power is not enough to replace Marine, the pirates still need Marine to contain him. Once his power exceeds Marine and the world government, then there will be no such tragedies in this world. I'm really unhappy. Young master, you actually spared their lives. Don't you want to say something, Barrow? Bambietta still looked unhappy, and her little mouth was so pouted that it was about to hang on the soy sauce bottle. The young master's will is my will. Everything is subject to the young master. In addition, Bambietta, you talk too much. If this continues, the young master may not like you at all, and he may even understand. I'm disgusted. Naturally, Bambietta, a super guard who had been questioning Yang Feng, would not let it go. Bambietta happened to put the topic on him, so he spoke out. What? Bambietta suddenly realized that she was a little too out of touch, and immediately looked at Yang Feng cautiously. When she saw that Yang Feng did not show any disgust, she breathed a deep sigh of relief. Okay, you two, I'm still here. Let's talk about these things in private. In addition, Barrow, you should also learn to be more flexible. Your character is too boring. If your character is the same as Bambietta, maybe I'll like it a little more. Yang Feng smiled as he spoke. He would not be disgusted by someone who was too lively and talkative. After all, he had been alone for too long. You see, Barrow, you should learn from me. When Bambietta heard that Yang Feng actually praised her, she immediately became happy, and even made a few funny faces at Barrow with a naughty look on her face. You should calm down for a while. I'm just saying that you have a good personality, but it's not good if you are too lively. Yang Feng's face suddenly darkened. Didn't he just praise you? As for being so happy, he was so proud that Yang Feng gave Bambietta a chestnut. Chapter 57. Grabbing a warship too, please collect. Advertisement. Okay, stop making trouble. You have a mission today. This is your first battle in Otherworld. Perform well. This stage is built for you, Bambietta. Let me see how strong you are. Yang Feng squinted his eyes and glanced at Bambietta, who was covering his head and acting cute, and said that in addition to snatching the warship, he also had another purpose, which was to see Bambietta's combat effectiveness, so that it would be easier to determine their strength. Don't worry, young master, I, Bambietta, will definitely bring victory to you. Bambietta's face instantly became serious. She knew very well the original policy of Yhwach. If you win, you will win. But if you fail, then is the loser. If the enemy does not kill you, then he can also do it himself. Therefore, although the people of the Star-Crossed Knights are good in strength, they do not appear out of thin air. They also need to continue to practice and cannot fail. Once they fail, they will die. So they cannot fail. The prerequisite for failure is to defeat the enemy. To defeat the enemy, you need strength, so they have been practicing hard. Others think they look glamorous, but is this really the case? The pressure they bear is even heavier. Don't care too much about winning or losing. It doesn't matter even if you lose. Even Yhwach himself failed, but he didn't really die. Yang Feng also knows what Bambietta is thinking. Although he has been slowly inheriting Yhwach's strength, he is not Yhwach, so naturally he will not be so cold-blooded. Don't worry, Bambietta, the young master is not that kind of person. The young master cares about the lives of his subordinates and cares about our mood. The young master needs companions, not subordinates. Barrow also spoke. After spending some time with Yang Feng, he knew Yang Feng's character very well. He was completely different from Yhwach. Do you really not care about winning or losing? Bambietta opened her little mouth in an instant and was able to stuff an egg into it, with a look of surprise on her face. But there is a premise. If you let me know that you don't fight with all your strength, you will not be able to escape the death penalty. Yang Feng said solemnly with a dark face. He was really afraid that Bambietta would not be able to fight as hard as he could for this reason. Don't worry, young master. I know what to do, so where is my opponent? There doesn't seem to be any powerful people around here, especially on the warship. There doesn't seem to be a strong person. After using Reiatsu to sense a circle, Bambietta was confused. What is this? There was no need for him to take action against such a weak opponent. Advertisement. Don't worry, once there is movement here, your opponent will rush over quickly. Then you have to let me see your strength. Yang Feng shook his head as he spoke. Zephyr is not on the warship now, but there are things like phone bugs on the warship. If they can't defeat it, Yang Feng and others will naturally ask for help. I see, Bambietta said nonchalantly. She didn't feel any strong Reiatsu here, so she naturally relaxed. It's okay to relax, but don't underestimate the enemy. The ability of Devil Fruit in this world is also very strange, no worse than some Shinigami Zanpakuto. Even Barrow was forced to activate the perfect holy body before, and he didn't even defeat that opponent completely. And your opponent it's not much weaker than that, so be careful. Yang Feng directly took out Barrow's case. This was a fresh case, which also left Barrow speechless. Is he so suitable to be a teaching material? Don't worry, young master, I won't underestimate the enemy. Bambietta's face turned serious instantly. Even Barrow was forced to use all her strength, and she had not completely defeated the enemy. She now knew the seriousness of the matter. Okay, let's rob the warship first. After seeing Bambietta's face become serious, Yang Feng also knew that this girl knew the seriousness of the matter, and when entering the warship, he did not forget to give Barrow a, well done, look. Barrow could only smile bitterly at this. It was enough to think that he was being used as a teaching material, but the person who used him as a teaching material was indeed his young master, so he could not refute. He now feels that his future is bleak, and his matter will probably be known to others. Who are you? How did you get here? Marine, who was in charge of patrol on the warship, was stunned when he saw Yang Feng and the others, but he raised his rifle directly after seeing Barrow. Because Barrow carries the spiritual spear Diaglon, Yang Feng and Bambietta are not included in this range. A little kid and another cute girl will never be associated with the evil and robbers. Bar. Don't do anything. It's enough to leave these little minions to the shadow guards. We can just wait for the big fish to take the bait. Seeing the Marine Yang Feng who kept gathering, they stopped Barrow and Bambietta who wanted to take action. There was no need for them to take action against these little minions. Advertisement. As Bambietta spoke, her shadow instantly lengthened, and then a group of shadow guards in uniforms rushed out. No, it's an enemy attack. I need to be on guard. Everyone, get up and fight. After seeing this scene, a Marine yelled. It's an enemy. Everyone, get up quickly and reinforce Colonel Sika League. Everyone was panicking. They didn't expect that it would be an enemy attack, and these people would be hiding in the shadows. At the first moment, Colonel Sakaman's senses were all about this devil fruit ability. Knock them all unconscious and throw them to the shore. Yang Feng didn't even take action, and then more than 90 shadow guards took action directly. The Marines also reacted quickly, picking up weapons one by one and shooting at the shadow guards. But who are the shadow guards? Although they are just shadow guards, each of them is a veritable Quincy. What they should know has been destroyed, and they are almost just ordinary Quincies. Fei Lianzhao. Anyone who was threatened by bullets used their flying kicks to avoid the bullets in an instant. After a wave of bullets were fired, the Marines discovered that their own nature could not hurt these people at all. Each of these people had very strange speeds, and used physical skills similar to Xiao's to continuously dodge the attacks of themselves and others. No, contact Zephyr instructor quickly. These people are too powerful and we won't be able to resist them for long. Colonel Sikameng shouted anxiously. Wait a minute, Colonel Sika, they don't need Teacher Zephyr to deal with them yet, just leave it to us. I don't know when. There was a group of people wearing marine uniforms on the warship, but they didn't look very formal. Chapter 58. A bunch of acquaintances please collect. Advertisement. Colonel Sika League, there is no need for the teacher to take action on these guys, let us handle them. Those who spoke were a group of people wearing marine training uniforms. These people were naturally the most outstanding among the many students brought by Zephyr this time. Zephyr has a lot of students, but there are only a small number of people who can barely get his recognition. This small number live on his warship, while the other students live on other warships. Such a big commotion at this moment naturally woke up these recruits, and when they saw someone practicing, these arrogant recruits couldn't help it. Are they the students of Zephyr instructor? Then this place will be left to you, but we will contact Zephyr instructor if any problems arise, and you must ensure your own safety. After Colonel Sakaman finished speaking, he also made way for Zephyr students to slowly walk out. Don't worry, leave it to us, Colonel Sika League. Justice will prevail. The recruits said with serious faces. I understand. By the way, you guys go and inform Sergeant Smoker. After all, they are Logia fruit power users. It should be easier to deal with these people. By the way, Corporal Hina and several other demon fruit powers are here. We can't always be under the protection of Zephyr instructor, at least we must learn to be grateful. Colonel Sikameng said to the people beside him that he had finally made up his mind and would not look for Zephyr unless it was absolutely necessary. Smoker. Hina. These two guys are actually here, but they don't seem to be suitable for these recruits. They have already become sergeants and corporals. To be honest, he was shocked that the two of them appeared here. He was really lucky to see so many old acquaintances in East Blue. Lush, lush. While Yang Feng was thinking, a strange sound attracted his attention, and then he saw a very strange-looking person dancing around, shouting the words, luxuriant and lush, on his lips. And as he shouted, vines continued to appear on the deck of the warship, dragging some shadow guards who had no time to avoid directly into the air, constantly swaying, and increasing the entanglement intensity. Several shadow guards where I was immediately knocked unconscious. Advertisement. Binzi, by the way, Zephyr's arm was cut off this year, and it was said that of all the recruits, only Ain and Binzi were left. Yang Feng suddenly realized, it turned out to be this guy, his ability was quite strange, and he didn't know how to develop it. He was defeated by Sanji. Once this guy's fruit ability is developed and awakened, it will probably reach the level of wood style in Hokage, but this guy can't use it, so that the fruit ability is developed like a noob. Go back to your youth. Yang Feng's attention only stayed on Binzi for a short while, and then his attention was on the other side. Now that Binzi has appeared, will there be less Ain? Of course not. Sure enough, after Binzi took action, a very good-looking girl also stood up, and a layer of pink light appeared on everyone she touched, but she couldn't see anything because she was covering her face. If you are touched by me, your age will be set back 10 years. Moreover, the limit of my ability is 3 times. After 3 times, I will become 30 years younger. Can you bear it? Ain said while taking action. It's a pity that this ability hasn't been fully developed yet. Otherwise, it could reach the level of Auntie. Once she is unhappy, she will directly extract her lifespan. The same is true for her ability. Yang Feng looked at it and shook his head. Ain was the one who ate the fruit of regression. In the original work, her ability was to regress people by 10 years, but now it is only 10 years. However, she still chose the wrong opponent. It might be difficult for others to be touched, but the shadow guards would not. What is the greatest feature of the Shinigami world? It's a matter of lifespan. Whether it's Kion, Quincy, or Shinigami, all 3 have very long lifespans. Each of these shadow guards has a lifespan of over 100 years. Even being touched by Ain 3 times will not cause any change. Therefore, unless Ain's fruit ability is developed for 100 years, it will be possible to completely defeat these shadow guards 3 times. Otherwise it would be impossible. The average lifespan of a shadow guard is over 100 years old. No matter how she touches it, it will be useless. At this moment, Ain also noticed something was wrong. Advertisement. Normally, pirates would be frightened to death after hearing her words and would like to run away quickly, but the shadow guards were different and didn't care at all, because it would not affect them at all. Seeing that the shadow guards were not afraid of her, Ain was also confused and bumped into a person 3 times, but after 3 times, she found that the person's figure had hardly changed. Her eyes widened immediately. How could there be no change at all? If a person who is 50 years old is touched by her, he will naturally become 20 years old, but these people have not changed at all. Even if they cannot see their faces, they can be seen from their bodies. Ain, don't use your fruit abilities. Your abilities seem to be of no use to these guys. Use weapons instead. Binzi couldn't help but widen his eyes when he saw this scene. The retrograde fruit is useless. What is this concept? There has been no change at all for these guys in 30 years. Are all these guys over 50? So at this moment, even Binzi felt that his head was not enough. Of course, this did not mean that the movements of his hands would slow down. He was still swaying as before, and vines continued to emerge from the deck. My fruit power is useless. Ain also had a grimace on his face, pulled out his 2 sabers, and attacked the shadow guard next to him, while the other students slowly exploded their fighting power. The people who can be on the Zephyr ship are all either demon fruit power, or people with extraordinary talent and potential, so their abilities are considered pretty good. But the number of these students is still a little small. There are nearly 100 shadow guards, but there are only a few dozen of them. The 2 are not proportional at all. When the recruits were forced to retreat, a white smoke fell from the sky next to them. Then the smoke slowly turned into a white-haired boy, and the boy was holding a stick and a gun in his mouth at the moment. Age-inappropriate cigarettes. Yang Feng is naturally very familiar with this person. He is Smoker, a person with smoke fruit ability, but the development effect is not very good. Chapter 59 Logia Nemesis Open black lens bracket. Please collect close black lens bracket. Advertisement. What's going on? When did someone dare to invade Teacher Zephyr's ship? Shouldn't it be said that he is a pirate from East Blue? He is really brave enough. Smoker, who was holding a cigarette and looking at the 2 sides who were constantly fighting with a very unhappy expression on his face, said that he had basically mastered the situation of East Blue during the time he came to East Blue. East Blue's strength at the moment was almost 10 million as a huge pirate. As for those millions of pirates, they are running rampant everywhere, and because there is no nemesis, East Blue's pirate bounties are also a problem. Almost all of them are not worthy of the name. In the first half of the Grand Line and the New World, the strength can almost be determined by bounties. Of course, except for Crocodile, which was killed by cheaters, how could this guy only have a bounty of more than 80 million? After all, any superstar in the later period will have a bounty of over 100 million. But the strength of most pirates is linked to the bounty. For example, the bounties for Big Mom's 3 generals and Kaido's 3 disasters are basically around 1 billion, and each of them is not weaker than Admiral. Therefore, in Smoker's opinion, the pirates in the East Blue, which is called the weakest sea, are too weak. Not only are they weak, but they are also rare. In the first half of the Grand Line, they can encounter bounty pirates after sailing for a while. But after arriving at East Blue, he only encountered a few from time to time, and most of them were not bounties. In addition, the situation of East Blue's Marines was very bad, and he personally did not think highly of East Blue. At this moment, he began to belittle East Blue as soon as he appeared. His current thinking is that these people have not seen the big world, so they dare to attack Zephyr's warship. If he knew, he wouldn't dare to act so unscrupulously. Who is Zephyr? One of the original admirals is now in his 50s, and his strength has just begun to decline, but his arm has not been chopped off yet, and the name Black Arm is still here. Even in the first half of the Grand Line, no one dared to attack Zephyr's warship. Smoker never expected to encounter such a stupid young man in East Blue, and he actually hit his head directly on Zephyr's warship. Sergeant Smoker, please come down quickly and help. Lord Zephyr's recruits are almost overwhelmed. Colonel Sika League shouted into the sky. These colonels are actually very rich. Smoker is just a sergeant now, but his strength is no less than that of an ordinary colonel. On the contrary, the Sika Alliance colonel is just a civilian. Zephyr believes that no one will dare to challenge him in these places, so he will not strongly require combatants to participate. Advertisement. Otherwise, how can my students exercise? Therefore, the Sika League colonels are just civilians, and their combat effectiveness is slightly stronger than that of ordinary soldiers. After all, not everyone in the Marine Corps is strong. There are still a lot of civilian staff. Their strength is not very strong, but they are recruited because they are very good in knowledge. After all, if a ship is full of combatants, is it okay? It's really troublesome. Can't these recruits solve it? It's a waste of Marines' resources. They are much worse than our generation. Smoker glanced at the people fighting below with a look of displeasure. To him, these people were much different from the students of his generation. Just look at the current battle and you will know that the weakest East Blue was actually defeated. Tangled. You must know that they are the most outstanding group of people in the new generation of Marine, but they are so entangled in the garbage of East Blue that they cannot completely win for a while. White Fist. As soon as Smoker joined the battlefield, he immediately activated his fruit ability. His fist turned into a ball of white smoke and became extremely huge. It looked a bit like a Kainu's great eruption, except that his fist was not made of magma, but made of smoke. The white fist instantly enlarged and wrapped several people inside. Bang bang bang. The next moment, the shrouded shadow guard flew backwards as if hit by a fierce punch and hit the deck of the warship. Cheer up, everyone, don't let Mr. Zephyr see you in such a mess. Smoker looked at the many shadow guards who were knocked away with an arrogant look and instantly felt that he had become taller. Logia's fruit ability is convenient, but this guy doesn't know how to develop it. In the original book, he didn't even practice hockey for so long in Logue Town. Yang Feng didn't believe that this guy, as a Logia fruit user, didn't know about hockey. Logia fruit users have innate advantages. In the later Dressrosa chapter, there were a lot of soldiers that Fujitora brought with him who knew armament hockey. Armament hockey is indeed very rare to see in the world. Advertisement. In the first half of the Grand Line, hockey began to appear gradually. Although there were few, they were not rare, but it was different in the New World. Almost a large number of people know how to arm themselves, because this is the way to restrain those with Logia fruit abilities. As for using Seastone, please, they ran away immediately. Seastone and the like generally can't hurt them at all. Everyone in the New World is a monster, and they cannot be easily compared to ordinary people, so Smoker will not. In Yang Feng's opinion, hockey is just too lazy and content with the status quo. I don't think this is necessary in East Blue. All Seastone weapons are used, which makes me drunk just thinking about it. Young master, do you need us to take action? Barrow frowned when he saw that the Marine soldiers' morale had once again exploded. Don't worry, don't you know about Shadow Guardian? Logia fruit users are a kind of bug for people in this world. They can't be restrained without using Seastone or Seawater or armament hockey, but don't forget that we are who? Yang Feng said with a slight smile on his lips, and Barrow suddenly realized, who are they? They are Quincy. It can attack both the human body and the soul. Even if you are a Logia fruit user, you still have a soul. When the soul is attacked, your ability to control the body will decrease. And once the soul is seriously damaged, it will also seriously affect the lifespan. If the lifespan is gone, the whole person will die. Therefore, they are not afraid of anyone with Logia fruit ability. At most, they will not be able to defeat someone as fast as Kizaru. Smoker, you are so arrogant. It's really unpleasant to hear your voice when you come here. While they were talking, another girl with pink hair got on the boat. This person was naturally Hina, the cage fruit user. At this moment, Hina was still a girl, not as big as the smoking elder sister in the later period. Chapter 60. Really please collect. Advertisement. Hina, you came too late, the battle is almost over. Smoker, holding a cigarette in his mouth, said with a playful look on his face. He and Hina were sworn enemies. They competed for the title of number 1 when they were recruiters, and they are now sworn enemies, but it seems that he won in the end. Of course, the victory was not very glorious, because he is a Logia fruit user, and physical attacks are useless unless hockey and Seastone are used. However, as a recruit, Hina did not know hockey at all and could not find Seastone, so he lost in the end. What a stinky man who smells like cigarette smoke. Do you think everyone is a Logia fruit user like you? Hina became even more upset after hearing Smoker's screams. Smoker is a smoke fruit user who can transform into smoke. However, the smoke can also rush into the sky and rely on extremely strong jet force to achieve the effect of fast flight. Therefore, Smoker was able to quickly rush to this warship from other warships, but Hina was different. She was a user with cage fruit ability, which was a move that bound people. Naturally, she could only come slowly in a small boat. Stop making excuses. You go and deal with the others. I'll deal with the 3 guys who look like the boss. But why are there children in there? Smoker was confused as he walked, but soon he rushed in front of Yang Feng and others. He didn't care whether she was a child or a beauty. To him, anyone who dared to attack a warship was an enemy. It's natural to expel enemies. It's no wonder that this guy has always been single. He got better after meeting the girl with glasses. It turns out that he doesn't know how to show mercy to her at all. Are you the leader of these dark guys? I am Sergeant Naval Headquarters Smoker, and now you are all under arrest. Smoker walked up to Yang Feng and the others and said with a serious face. Arrest us. I'm sorry, you don't have the strength yet. If you want to arrest us, you still need to practice for at least 20 years. Yang Feng said with a funny face. Smoker's current strength is similar to that of an ordinary colonel without abilities, and most of them take advantage of the fact that those with Logia fruit abilities cannot be physically attacked. Otherwise, his strength is only that of a major. Judging from this guy's performance in the original work, even if he is given another 20 years, he will not be able to catch up with Yang Feng's current strength. Advertisement. Arrogant brat, I originally thought you might have been kidnapped, but now it seems there's no need. Do you want to go back with me or should I do it myself? Smoker suddenly felt unhappy. He was actually ridiculed by a kid in East Blue, the weakest C. This made him wonder how he would behave in front of acquaintances in the future. Idiot, you'd better deal with the shadow guards first. You can't defeat them with just one punch. Your fists are too weak. Yang Feng said with a look of disdain. Smoker's white fist looks good now, but it is flashy, just like a ball of dispersed smoke, and it can only be used against the following ordinary people. Needless to say, if his fist could not be solidified, it would be extremely powerful. However, this guy cannot be developed to this extent yet. What are you talking about? Aren't those guys already? Before Smoker could finish his words, a dark figure appeared next to him and kicked him away. What's going on? Hina, haven't you solved the remaining ones yet? Smoker immediately frowned when he saw the shadow guards in front of him. Didn't he take care of most of the shadow guards just now? Could it be that Hina can't deal with the remaining ones? Idiot Smoker, you can see for yourself, none of these guys are defeated. Hina couldn't help but scream. These guys didn't look very strong, but each of them was just like Xiaoqiang from Immune to Death. He just defeated one and got up again the next moment. What? Smoker was suddenly startled and looked at the position of the shadow guard he had defeated before. There was no one lying there at this moment. Instead, there was a group of dark people standing behind and staring at him. How is it possible? He was not knocked down by my blow. Smoker was immediately shocked. He had not met many people in East Blue who could withstand his punch, but now he had met them, and they were a group of people. Advertisement. Stop playing around and beat them. Yang Feng was not in the mood anymore. Now the shadow guards were just playing, teasing these guys and waiting for Zephyr to come over. But what surprised Yang Feng was that these guys didn't even call. This place is still some distance away from the Logia Marine Station, and there is no movement here, so we can only make phone calls, but these numbers actually refused to call, which made Yang Feng depressed. He also wanted to take this opportunity to test Bambietta's combat effectiveness. Even though it was not as powerful as Barrow, it still had Admiral-level combat effectiveness. Barrow, who has now opened the Holy Body, can fight against Kaido who has reached the level of 4 Emperors, but that is a one-shot deal, so now he wants to see the combat effectiveness of Bambietta, and Zephyr at the peak of Admiral is undoubtedly the best choice. Even if Bambietta is defeated, there are still Barrow and Yang Feng. Although Yang Feng has just entered the Admiral level, he has many good things. Once he catches the opportunity to use the 6-ray array, it will be fun. Even people at the 4 Emperors level will have a headache. After all, the 6-ray array has almost nothing to do with strength. The key is to look at the number of silver tubes. If the number of silver tubes reaches a certain level, it is estimated that even the 4 Emperors level can be killed instantly. In the original work, Ishida Ryu uses 1 silver cylinder every time, but Yang Feng doesn't think so. Why not use more? So he saved a lot of silver tubes, 1 a day, which was quite sad just thinking about it. In fact, we can't blame Ishida Ryu for not using a large number of silver tubes. They don't have that many, and it takes time to condense the spirit seeds. Not everyone has a system that can receive 1 silver tube a day. So this idea is not tenable in Shinigami's original work, but it is completely tenable in his case. Everything needs to be tested. He was waiting here not only to test the combat effectiveness of Bambietta, but also to test the power of ordinary silver tubes combined with the 6-ray array. Thinking about it now, he felt excited, so he could only speed up and let these guys go on their own. Contact Zephyr. As for going to Logia Marine to cause trouble, he had never thought about it. Instead of going there himself, it would be better to have someone come over. He wanted to rob the ship anyway. Chapter 61 The Tragic Smoker Open black lens bracket Please collect close black lens bracket. Advertisement. What are you talking about for fun? Are the previous battles with us all just for fun? Don't be too arrogant, kid. Smoker turned into a white smoke and rushed towards Yang Feng. He looked anxious, but before he could reach Yang Feng, he saw several dark figures in front of him, each holding a blue bow and arrow aimed at him. It's ridiculous, a mere bow and arrow actually wants to hurt Lousy. Lousy is a Logia fruit user. White fist. The white fist of smoke condensed again and blasted towards Yang Feng and others. Bang bang bang. There was a sound of a bowstring bouncing, and then a stream of spirit arrows were shot out, hitting Smoker at extremely fast speeds. Puff puff. Suddenly a series of sounds sounded, and at this moment Smoker seemed to have become a hedgehog, shot into a hedgehog by spirit arrows, but these arrows were not nailed to his body, but to his soul. In the elemental state of Logia, he cannot attack the body at all, so he can only resort to attacking the soul. The Quincy's arrows are actually very strange. Once the target is hit, the first target is the body. The destroyed body will then attack the soul. In Smoker's case, it directly attacks the soul, and the arrow is also shot on his soul. It was seen that although he was shot, he had no wounds at all, but these wounds were on the soul. The terrifying pain that penetrated the soul was not something that ordinary people could withstand. Ah, Smoker, whose soul had been shot by more than a dozen arrows, felt as if his body was torn apart by something. The severe pain made him lose his sense of normalcy in an instant. The whole person held his head and knelt down on the deck and let out a terrifying howl, which shocked everyone. The soul is the foundation of the body, and a fundamental injury cannot be compared to the pain on the physical hand. It is like one being bitten by a mosquito and the other being cut by a knife. There is no comparison at all. Smoker. Advertisement. Seeing Smoker suddenly stop, and then kneeling on the deck with his head in his hands and wailing, everyone's expression suddenly changed. Lush and Lush. Binzi was shocked when he saw this scene, and immediately used his ability to roll Smoker out. At this moment, Smoker was completely unable to elementalize due to the severe pain. He couldn't stand it if anyone attacked now. The severe pain made it difficult for Smoker to maintain his voice, and even his screams turned into a mute sound. His whole body was lying on the deck trembling, and the sweat on his forehead was dripping down desperately. This is the soul being attacked. Pain of. Damn it, it hurts so much to attack your soul. Why didn't Kaido feel anything before? Yang Feng was stunned for a moment and asked Barrow in confusion. Young master, the Quincy's ability is first based on the body, and they will not attack both together. Once the body cannot be attacked, the soul will be chosen, because the body prevents us from attacking the soul, and their elementalization is just right. Allows us to directly attack the soul, that's why such a scene occurs. After listening to Barrow's explanation, Yang Feng suddenly realized that he could still play like this. Then weren't there Quincy the nemesis of Logia on the entire sea? It works without seastone or weapon color. But young master, I still recommend learning armament hockey. After all, armament hockey can enhance our attack power and take our strength to the next level. Barrow said at one point. That's right, you can't be too proud of your ability, otherwise it will be terrible. Yang Feng also nodded, thinking that Barrow was right. He should not be complacent just because of such a small achievement. You must know that this is the grave of many people. Aizen was defeated by Kurosaki Ichigo because he was too complacent, and Doflamingo was defeated by Luffy because of his complacency. This is true for every villain. It is naturally impossible for Yang Feng to embark on this path of no return. At this moment, Yang Feng and the others were still chatting leisurely, but Marine was in chaos. Smoker, who had the ability of the Logia fruit, was knocked down by a move, and he let out such a terrifying scream. So much so that neither Marine nor recruits dare to step forward now, because each shadow guard holds a blue bow and arrow in their hands. They know why Smoker became like this, so they don't dare to step forward at all. Advertisement. Damn it, I didn't expect that East Blue, which has become the weakest sea since One Piece Roger was executed, would have such a character. No, we must inform Lord Zephyr as soon as possible, otherwise. Thinking of this, Sika League didn't care about anything else. Smoker, the Logia smoke fruit user, is the strongest on these ships. After all, as long as he doesn't know hockey, he can't do any harm to him. So during this period, Smoker was almost sideways in East Blue. Of course, this made Zephyr quite dissatisfied because he promoted physical fitness rather than physical ability. Even Kizaru is often scolded by him for relying too much on fruit abilities, which shows how disgusted he is with people who only use abilities without using physical skills. Now that Smoker was killed in an instant, he naturally couldn't sit still. As a civilian, he didn't have much fighting ability, but he still had some brains. Sikameng immediately returned to the cabin and took out the phone bug for practicing Zephyr. Moxie, are you Colonel Sika League? What do you want from me? After a period of blah blah blah, a low and majestic voice came from the phone bug's side. At this moment, the phone bug also put on a pair of sunglasses due to the influence. To be honest, Yang Feng is very curious about things like phone worms, because the phone worms will change into another appearance when they speak, completely simulating the appearance of the user. For example, when using Doflamingo, you wear sunglasses and a flamingo coat. In short, whoever uses this thing can show their characteristics and appearance. I have to say it is very magical. Lord Zephyr, it's like this. The ship was attacked. The recruits on the ship were unable to resist. Even Sergeant Smoker was defeated, so I can only ask you for help. Sika Meng looked at the phone bug with a face of shame and said. What? Such a thing could happen. Just hold it back. I'll be here right away. As soon as he finished speaking, the phone bug returned to its original state. At a glance, he knew that the phone bug had been hung up. Zephyr in Logue Town Marine Base instantly turned into a purple stream of light and rushed towards the port. He never thought that this would happen. Things. First of all, I would like to thank Huiyuhongguo Book Friends for their monthly tickets. Let me explain here first. Maybe it will be on the shelves tomorrow. This is not the first time for Fatty. I also know that I will lose a lot of book friends, but it is enough that I have delayed it until now. The number of words has jumped to more than 130,000. Although there is a lot of nonsense, Fatty will correct it slowly. Anyway, I would like to thank all the book friends for their support. Whether it is collections or flower evaluation votes, Fatty has thanked me here. I will throw out all my saved manuscripts when they are released. Chapter 62 Zephyr arrives. Advertisement. I finally called. It took me so long, but I'm so lucky to see these familiar faces. Yang Feng had to complain about his luck. He met so many big names just in East Blue, but what about in Grand Line? Did acquaintances also appear one after another? Young master, I sense that a very powerful Reiatsu is approaching, and it is very fast. It will be here soon. Barrow suddenly opened his eyes and said, to be honest, he didn't bother to watch the battles of these shadow guards. They were of little value. In his eyes, they were just like fighting with children and had no fighting power at all, so he was still paying attention to Zephyr. Don't think about it. This time the enemy is given to Bambietta to test his strength. You should wait until later. After all, 753, I already know your combat effectiveness. Seeing the fighting spirit in Barrow's eyes, Yang Feng was immediately speechless. You said you don't like trouble. Isn't fighting considered trouble? Why do you look so eager to try? That's right, my opponent this time is mine. Although I have just come to this world, I still want to see if the people in this world are really that strong. Bambietta also spoke immediately, apparently afraid that Barrow would snatch his opponent away. You should also be careful. Although this family's combat effectiveness has almost dropped out of the admiral level after 10 or 20 years, their physical strength has just begun to decline now and is almost at the peak of the admiral level. In other words, it is almost the same as after you opened the Eucharist. Don't I died accidentally. In this regard, Yang Feng repeatedly emphasized that Zephyr is not a 74-year-old Zephyr, but a Zephyr in his 50s. He is not the Zephyr wearing a seastone wrist, but an admiral-level black-arm Zephyr. I understand, young master, you are too verbose. I don't want it to be God's will. Bambietta said with a cute look on her face. It seemed that she didn't take it to heart at all. Yang Feng was helpless and could only give Barrow a look. After receiving the instructions, Barrow nodded and went to rescue if there was a problem. This was something they had never tried before. Under Yhwach, failure was equivalent to death, and they had no chance of failure. Whoosh. Advertisement. A stream of purple light fell from the sky, and then his appearance was revealed, with short purple hair, wearing a pair of sunglasses, and his body proportions were considered normal in this one-piece world. The muscles all over his body are exaggerated to the extreme, and his height is over 3 meters. To be honest, the height of people in this world is really pervert. Just like the 3 Akainus, Luffy's height of about 1.78 meters is almost half, or even less than half, compared to them. In modern times, each of them would probably be at the level of a giant. Teacher Zephyr XN. Seeing their teacher suddenly falling from the sky, many students seemed to have seen a savior. They all screamed in surprise. Only Smoker had fainted at this moment. Even fainting is not easy. He was knocked unconscious by Hina's slap before, but he woke up directly due to the severe pain. It took several times to really knock him out. This also made the people next to him tremble with fear. How much pain would it take to wake a person up from a coma? It was really terrifying. What the hell happened here? Someone in East Blue dared to act recklessly on my boat. Zephyr looked extremely haughty as soon as he opened his mouth. After all, his arm was not broken yet and his physical strength had not declined much, so he was still a little normal. Teacher Zephyr, it's them. Each of them has very weird attack methods. Even Smoker was defeated, and the defeat was very complete. Hina pointed to Yang Feng and others and the many shadow guards opposite and said, Bambietta, take the shadow guards back, they can no longer participate in the current battle. After seeing the arrival of Zephyr, Yang Feng asked Bambietta to take back the shadow guards. After all, the shadow guards are the new force in the future and cannot be wasted like this. Advertisement. According to Yang Feng's idea, if every summoned person brings 100 shadow guards, then the number of shadow guards will only be more than 2,000, so it is better to save a little. I understand, young master. Bambietta opened the shadow domain and directly took all the shadow guards back. The moment the ability was activated, Bambietta's shadow lengthened and spread to the feet of every shadow guard. The next moment, the shadow guards sank in one by one, disappeared into the shadows. I'm curious about this strange ability. What kind of ability is it? A user with Paramesha Shadow Fruit ability. No, the Shadow Fruit obviously already has an owner. It seems to be called Moria or something like that. Zephyr looked at this ability with a surprised look. Normal people's first reaction would be to think of the Shadow Fruit, but at this moment, Gecko Moria has gone to sea and has made a lot of fame, but he has not challenged Kaido yet. After all, Roger died just a few years ago, the era of great pirates has just begun, and Shanks has not fully grown up yet. Naturally, it is impossible for 4 emperors to appear, so Moria has no challenge to Kaido. Marine's original admiral, Black Arm Zephyr, you happen to show up, so let me test your strength with my companions. Yang Feng said with a smile. Testing your strength. The reason why you haven't killed anyone is to lure me out to test your strength. For a moment, Zephyr wondered if Yang Feng's head was caught in the door, and that's why he attacked the warship. Wasn't this because he was making himself uncomfortable? Of course not, this is just one purpose. The other purpose is the warship under your feet. You also know that if you want to cross the upside-down mountain, it is useless if you don't have a stronger ship. Yang Feng waved his hand helplessly. He had 2 admirals, and his own strength had reached captain level 4.9, so he was worthy of marine. No matter how powerful Marine was, it would be impossible for him to send 3 admirals at once to conquer him. Besides, what's the use of coming? Barrow has almost 4 Emperor's level strength, even he also has Admiral level power. At this moment, the main Admiral has just become Admiral. It is not the 3 peak Admirals who have accumulated countless Admirals over 10 or 20 years, so Yang Feng is not worthy of them at all. Furthermore, as time goes by, he will become stronger and have more and more companions. By then, Marine will be a joke. His only opponent is the world government, which wants to establish a super overlord level invisible force in this world. Damn it, world government is definitely the #1 stumbling block. They will not let unknown people replace them. Chapter 63 Black Arm Zephyr, second update, please subscribe. Advertisement. It's ridiculous, you arrogant kid. It seems that your family has not taught you how to respect your elders. Then I will teach you a lesson for your family. It is not good to commit crimes. Zephyr immediately laughed angrily. He even wanted to steal his own warship. How arrogant this was. After all, he was also one of the original admirals of naval headquarters. Even after he retired, his strength was still here. Little brats, come and go with me. I want to educate you little brats who don't know what they are called. After Zephyr finished speaking, he disappeared in an instant. The next time he rushed towards Barrow with a series of afterimages, he didn't think he even needed to use Marine 6 styles to deal with the brats in front of him. Among the 3 people, he felt that the strongest person should be Barrow. After all, there was another 9-year-old kid and a little girl who looked to be 14 or 15 years old. Bang! Zephyr's fist struck out, and the target was naturally Barrow, but at the next moment one small white hand clenched his fist and punched him directly on the fist. At first, Zephyr didn't care much. He knew the strength of his arm, and it was quite powerful even without using the weapon color. But the next moment, he was horrified to find that his fist was missed by a punch from that arm. Old man, didn't you agree that your opponent is mine? What are you planning to do? When Zephyr turned around, he saw a very unhappy Bambietta, looking at him angrily. That punch just now was really made by you. Zephyr still couldn't believe that the little girl in front of him, who he recognized as having the ability of devil fruit, had such a strong physique. Of course, he didn't know that this little girl was many times his age. Okay, Barrow, let's go up first. Also, Bambietta shouldn't fight on the warship, otherwise I don't want to take those small ones later. As he spoke, Yang Feng also pointed at several warships that were slowly approaching around him. Those warships were obviously not of the same brand as the other one, and they all looked quite rubbish. I understand, young master. Advertisement. After Bambietta finished speaking, a flying leg left the ship and appeared on the ground. Such speed naturally made Fa open his mouth. Shaving. No, it can't be shaving, but moving at such a high speed looks like shaving. What on earth is going on? At this moment, Zephyr felt that his head was a little confused, and he couldn't figure out what was going on. After all, in this world, apart from demon fruit power, the only way to move at high speed was shaving. But the next moment, Zephyr saw a scene that made him even more confused. Yang Feng and Barrow flew upright into the sky, looking down at everyone. Fly, fly. Ain and others were stunned for a moment, and the next moment they shouted in disbelief. What kind of concept is flying? They only know moonwalk when flying in this world. But the moon also needs to keep moving. This is the first time I have seen him standing so brightly in the air. As for Zephyr, he immediately thought of Golden Lion, but it was wrong to think about it. Golden Lion is still in the deep sea prison at the moment. The setting has not escaped yet. I personally think that Golden Lion should be forced to have no choice. He probably cut off his own legs, so he should still be in there now. Whoosh. While Zephyr and others were still in a daze, a blue arrow shot directly towards his head, almost teleporting to reach Zephyr. No, armed color, hardened. In an instant, Zephyr activated armament Haki. His Haki has been developed to the point of perfection and can completely cover his whole body, but he doesn't like it. At this moment, his first reaction was not to dodge, but to activate armament Haki. The next arrow hit his head directly, but it made a crisp sound of metal and stone hitting each other. The blue arrow never broke through Zephyr's defense and dissipated directly into the air. Old man, are you surprised at all? No, if you want to fight, hurry up, otherwise you will hand over your warship. Advertisement. Bambietta kept her archery posture and said, the arrow just now was made by her using the spirit seed cluster, so it was not very lethal. It was just to remind Zephyr. Bambietta had never thought of this. It's easy to kill people at the same level as yourself. What a naughty kid, you were almost attacked by a sneak attack, so let me show you what my strength is like, armed with color and entangled. With a loud shout, 2 purple-black oars appeared in Zephyr's hands, and instantly attached to his fists. After that, Zephyr's 2 fists became as black as ink. It also shone with metallic luster, and the reflective effect left no doubt about how powerful this thing was. After being entangled in armed colors, Zephyr jumped down and left the warship. He was also afraid of destroying the warship himself. Although he was not a fruit power user, his destructive power was not much weaker than those of those numbers. Here we go. How big is the Black World Law that has almost reached its heyday? Yang Feng really wants to know how strong Zephyr's full power is. Zephyr's reputation in the original theatrical version was enough, but he didn't have the matching strength. Even Kizaru couldn't hurt him. He was also half dead by Power Rock 547, and was rescued by Luffy and the others. So at this moment, Zephyr's full strength. Yang Feng wants to know how strong this thing is. Is it worthy of the name or is it just a miracle? Boom. Without using any moves or any fancy tricks, Zephyr's steel-like arms blasted towards Bambietta, but he was dodged. The next 10 seconds, Kukuda's fist directly hit the ground. Countless thunderstorms suddenly appeared on the earth, and continued to spread out in all directions with Zephyr as the center. In an instant, it turned into a huge spider web shape with a radius of tens of meters. Okay. So powerful. Teacher Zephyr is so strong. I didn't expect that just a casual punch would cause such a scene. If we had such strength, we wouldn't have been forced to that level by those dark guys just now. Quote. Binzi looked at the cracks in the spider web created by Zephyr with excitement on his face, his eyes showing infinite yearning. They knew Zephyr was strong, but they didn't know how strong it was. After all, Zephyr was teaching students, not showing off, so it wasn't like they were showing their full strength in front of them, so that no one in the marine recruiters knew Zephyr's strength at all. To what extent? But now they saw that Zephyr's casual attack could cause such a situation, which was really terrifying. Chapter 64 Infinite Explosion, 3rd update. Please subscribe. Advertisement. It's so powerful. Even the Reiatsu enhancements we use cannot compare to the physical strength. It will be very troublesome if you get hit. Although there is no penalty for failure, I can't embarrass the young master like this. Bambietta looked at Zephyr with a solemn expression. Zephyr had reached such a level with just one punch. If he was hit, there would be problems. The next moment, Bambietta's cloak spread out like two huge wings, and the whole person flew directly into the air. It's such a trick again. Is flying a common occurrence for them? Zephyr's eyes instantly became solemn. 1 may be ability, 2 may be coincidence, but 3 is abnormal. In his opinion, this is a new flying skill, which is much better than Moonwalk. Less flying skills. Whoosh. As soon as the cloak spread out, countless blue light spots condensed on the cloak, instantly lighting up the sky. Bambietta's entire body was illuminated, and he looked extremely sacred. Burst. The next moment, countless light balls turned into afterimages and bombarded Zephyr on the ground. Seeing this scene, Zephyr brazenly wrapped himself around Hockey's arm to resist. After the light ball intersected with his arm, Zephyr suddenly showed an unexpected expression, because these light balls were not very strong to him, but the next moment the light ball exploded. Like a giant hand grenade, the power of the explosion spread to a range of about 10 meters. This was just a ball of light, and there were countless light balls falling down from it like raindrops. Boom boom boom. Countless light balls continued to shoot downwards. As soon as the light balls touch the ground, they will explode. Bambietta directly transforms into the queen of the turret, throwing the exploding Reiatsu balls for free. Teacher Zephyr. Everyone on the boat was stunned, and only Ain cried out worriedly. After all, if such a horrific explosion had happened to them, they would probably have been blown up to pieces. Advertisement. No, I want to go over and have a look. Although Binzi has some problems with his appearance, it does not mean that he does not respect his teacher. Just as Sanji said, they all regard Zephyr as their spiritual support. Zephyr takes the lead in everything. Zephyr has become a vague their backbone. They gradually turned into a group of little brats who didn't grow up, and they were too dependent on Zephyr. Of course, we can't blame them. After all, when Zephyr met Marine and cut off his arm, the only recruits on the entire warship were Ain and Binzi. After suffering such a blow, the two of them naturally relied on Zephyr the most. Stop it all. It's not a help if you have such strength. Keep a good watch on me. Lord Zephyr was one of the admirals, known as the Black Arm. How could he be defeated so easily? It gives me a little confidence. Ah. Sika League yelled with a gloomy look on their face. These students were still too young after all, and they actually wanted to help Zephyr. What could Zephyr do if he couldn't deal with them? On the contrary, Hina stood aside with a calm face. After graduation, she had seen many big pirates, so she naturally knew how strong Zephyr and his generation were. She did not think that Zephyr would be defeated so easily. As if to confirm what Sika Meng said, the explosion stopped quickly, and Bambietta would not keep bombing. In this way, the bombing would either be effective, or it would be useless at all, and she would not be so wasteful. Own Reiatsu. A very good attack, but I am very confused about what kind of fruit ability user you are. The shadows and explosions make me see a different scene. The smoke quickly dissipated, revealing a Zephyr who looked like an Iron Man. The purple-black armament hockey had completely covered Zephyr's body. Even Virgo, Pika and others can use full body armor, and Zephyr in his heyday can naturally do it as well, but those of them who have trained their armor to ultimate have undergone a slight change. Just like Garp, it turns into red and black after being completely covered with the weapon color. His is purple and black, and everyone else's is just pure black. As expected, I can't hurt you. The young master said that your strength is similar to mine. It would be too easy if I could kill you. As for what my abilities are, I can tell you now. My name is Bambietta Basta, and I am a member of the Knights of the Star and Cross. The holy letter E means explosion. Are you prepared to be exploded by me? Now that her name and abilities have been revealed, it means that Bambietta will use her full strength. Before, it was just a tentative attack from her. Advertisement. Knights of the Star Cross. Holy words. Explosion. Zephyr felt that his mind was a little confused. What was this? What he wanted to know was her ability. Now that he knew it, he sounded so obedient. He had never heard of any of these terms. In his opinion, how could such a being show its prowess on the sea? But why didn't he have any impression of it? Take the blast. Countless blue light balls took shape again, but this time they were even bigger, and the energy they contained seemed even more terrifying. Boom boom boom. The explosion started again, but this time Zephyr did not choose to resist forcefully, but disarmed the entire body of armor color. Haki consumed all the armor color too quickly. Moonwalk. Zephyr, who was completely disarmed, leaving only Haki on his arm, used Moonwalk to walk up into the sky, approaching Bambietta. But Bambietta obviously cannot wait for him to attack him. You can fly. Hello Wang Nuo, I can also fly, and I keep attacking while flying. What about you? Do you have any long-range attacks? So the two sides in the sky started a chase. One was running and attacking, while the other was chasing and avoiding attacks. Both of them were fine, but they suffered a lot from the people below. Countless light bombs hit the ground, the sea, and even a warship. The sea was constantly churning, the earth was constantly exploding, and the violent vibrations made the people on the ground miserable. Everyone expressed their helplessness towards the two people who were chasing each other in the sky. Little girl, can you only run away? Zephyr also shouted with an expression as if he had eaten a fly. His speed could not keep up with others. The sky was an absolute battlefield in the Shinigami world. But this is the world of pirates, and Bambietta has also used absolute tactics to kill you. Chapter 65. After the Holy Eucharist is completed, the angel descends. 4th update, please subscribe. Advertisement. If this consumption continues, Bambietta will suffer the most. After all, she has been attacking all the time. It is very difficult to continue. Although Zephyr uses Moonwalk, it will consume a lot of physical strength, but this physical strength will not affect him. Woolen cloth. Yang Feng looked at the two people chasing her in the sky and said helplessly, this is a war of attrition, but if this continues, Bambietta may be even more exhausted. After all, Zephyr only chased her with Moonwalk and did not attack. Apart from consuming a little Haki for defense, it doesn't have much impact at all. This old man's body is really strong. He was bombarded by me for such a long time without any problems. Bambietta, who placed the explosive bomb, was helpless. She did not expect that the human body in this world was so strong. Even his explosion could not break the defense for a while. On the contrary, her own Reiatsu continued to consumption. No, we can't continue, otherwise I will be the first to be consumed. We can't lose the first battle like this, otherwise I may become a mascot in the eyes of the young master. I am someone who wants to become a princess. After giving herself a boost of energy in her heart, Bambietta's eyes suddenly changed. After using her flying kick to leave again, she stayed in a 537 piece of sky, and did not let go of the explosive bombs. Zephyr couldn't adapt to the sudden release of pressure. After all, after being bombarded for such a long time, it was always hard to get used to the sudden loss of attacks. After seeing Bambietta stopped, he also returned to the ground. He couldn't just jump around in the sky all the time. Although he could fly on the air and use Moonwalk, the time couldn't be too long, and he still needed to rest. You must know that he will suffer from asthma in the later stage. Now it is estimated that as his body function slowly declines, something is wrong. She is about to finish using the holy body. Once she uses the holy body, it means that the Quincy has used all his power. It seems that she really wants to show off in front of the young master. Seeing this scene, Barrow showed a smile. How could he not see what Bambietta was thinking in his heart? After all, he was a person who had stayed in one place for a long time. Everyone knows their temperament and character very well. Advertisement. So he naturally knows that Bambietta doesn't like failure and likes to compare. Of course, he doesn't know that Bambietta wants to be the princess ABCH, otherwise he will definitely give a thumbs up and say something. Good idea. Perfect holy body, I don't know when I will be able to awaken such power. Yang Feng said with a speechless expression. All his companions would be able to complete the holy body after summoning them one by one. On the contrary, he was still at the stage of Ishida Yuryu, although his strength had already surpassed Ishida Yuryu for who knows how long. Street. But his heart's desire for the perfection of the Eucharist and the holy word was not false. Don't worry, young master, these powers are your own, and you have already possessed such combat power in such a short period of time. I believe that you will be able to regain your complete holy body and omniscience and omnipotence in the near future. Barrow said with a serious face. He was not trying to comfort him, but to tell the truth, Yang Feng's biggest advantage is that in addition to his own cultivation, he can use devil fruit to improve his combat effectiveness, and not only summon new companions. These companions are stronger, such as Barrow and the other 4 guards, as well as the captain Ugellen and the heir Ishida Ryu. Each of them is super strong. Once it was fully summoned, Yang Feng felt that the sea could move sideways on its own. That's right. What I lack is just time and resources. Now with the 2 of you in my combat power, even if Marine 3 Admiral comes, we can still keep 1 or 2. According to the strength, it should be regarded as a super ocean. It's a thief. Yang Feng naturally knows his advantage. After grabbing this warship, he will be able to enter the first half of the Grand Line. However, he still needs to find Robin from the Grand Line before he can truly enter the Grand Line. As this half-time, seeing the sudden truce between the two, many Marines and recruits showed confused expressions. Is it my imagination? Why do I feel as if Teacher Zephyr is the suppressed one? Some students spoke up. Advertisement. Idiot, it's obviously Teacher Zephyr who has the advantage. That woman should be demon fruit power. Being demon fruit power requires a lot of physical strength to use devil fruit ability, so it should be that woman who consumes more power at this moment. Hina glanced at the recruit with a disdainful look and said, she is the cage fruit's ability user, so she naturally knows the problem of devil fruit's energy consumption. If it were her who used the ability so frequently, it would have been exhausted long ago. Boom. A terrifying blue light beam penetrated the heaven and earth among the crowd, linking the heaven and the earth together like a sky pillar. What is this? I originally thought that Bambietta was suffering from excessive physical exertion and needed to recover, but now it seems that Zephyr realized that he was completely wrong. What kind of bullshit was excessive physical exertion? He was preparing for a big move. The appearance of the light beam shocked everyone. After all, such a large-scale drastic change is not something that ordinary people can understand, especially those who have never seen high-end combat effectiveness. In the eyes of people at the level of 4 emperors, all fancy fighting methods are rubbish, just like Crocodile dared to challenge Whitebeard, but was defeated in one move. This is just because Whitebeard has a good personality. Otherwise, try another one. If you dare to touch the ant you meet, you will definitely die. Didn't you see how badly Kid was tortured by Kaido? He was still locked in a small hole. Thinking about a supernova being treated like this, he was really speechless. Gotcha. The beam of light instantly shattered in the horrified eyes of everyone, turning into stars and disappearing into the air. At this moment, Bambietta also changed. The changes in Bambietta are still not as big as those in Barrow. After all, Barrow's entire appearance will change after he fully opens the holy body. At this moment, Bambietta's overall appearance remains unchanged, but he has grown a pair of pure white wings. The whole person looks more like a mythical angel. Coupled with the bonus of the holy body to the temperament, not only the marines below were stunned, but also Yang Feng. After all, such a Bambietta is so attractive, both in temperament and appearance. Chapter 66. Exploding Angel, Terrifying Angel, 5th update, please subscribe. Advertisement. As this an angel. Such creatures as angels really exist in this world. Many marines looked at it directly. How sacred this scene was. Some people even knelt on the ground and kept praying for themselves and their families. They were all people affected by Bambietta's temperament. Get up, you all, let me see clearly, she is not an angel, at most she is a person who has eaten devil fruit. Have you forgotten the ability of martial Sengoku? The fruit ability of martial Sengoku is Paramesha, the everyone fruit, Big Buddha form. Colonel Sika Meng was immediately shocked. Marine could not be allowed to come like this. Otherwise, if a reporter captured this scene, Marine would probably become famous. He knelt down to the enemy. What a shame. Of course, he thought he saw an angel at first, but when he thought about it carefully, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. The martial Sengoku of naval headquarters at the moment was Paramesha, the human fruit, a person with the fruit ability in the form of a giant Buddha. He has a Buddha light in himself, and after turning into the form of the Buddha, it is easier to convince people when he speaks, so he directly positioned Bambietta's ability as Paramesha, the fruit of everyone, and the angel form. Yes, martial Sengoku can also transform into a giant Buddha. It can't be that martial Sengoku is also a Buddha. Sure enough, this guy also has demon fruit power. Being yelled by Sika Meng, those who knelt down and looked obsessed suddenly woke up. They all thought of Sengoku in a cold sweat, and all of them had frightened expressions on their faces. Such a confusing ability. If someone took this opportunity to attack them, I'm afraid not many people here would be able to survive, so they were frightened and at the same time glad to be woken up, and also grateful. Thanks to Sika League for waking me up and others. Okay, don't look at me like that, just be careful. Demon fruit power is the weirdest existence. Zone and Logia are okay, they are all clear after all, but Paramesha is weird and changeable, so be careful. Sika Meng warned everyone with a serious face that among all the fruits, Paramesha is the weirdest, and depending on the degree of development, it can be like Whitebeard. A shock fruit developed to its limit can even shake open the sea for you. Sherlock Linlin, after the soul fruit was developed, he directly built a soul nation, which is extremely terrifying. Advertisement. In short, in Yang Feng's opinion, Paramesha is better than Logia, because the real high-end combat power cannot be solved by elementalization. Moreover, it is much more convenient for those kings to burst out conquerors than to use their ultimate move to clear the troops. In front of the top powerhouses, the advantages of Logia ability users are almost gone. As for Yang Feng himself and others, they also have this ability. Reiatsu bursts out, which is a big move to clear troops. Once Reiatsu bursts out completely, it couldn't be easier for captain-level Reiatsu to suppress those small characters. Even after surpassing the captain's level in the later stage, Reiatsu's burst can almost crush a person's soul into pieces, which is much better than Conqueror's. He does not lack the dominant color. The so-called Conqueror's is courage. He doesn't think Reiatsu is weaker than Conqueror's. For Yang Feng, instead of choosing Conqueror's, it is better to choose the knowledge color and the armed color. When the color of knowledge and knowledge is developed to the limit, different abilities will be born. For example, Enel's mind reading network and Roger's listening to all things are very useful abilities. Not to mention only the armed color. What do people like Garp who don't eat devil fruit rely on? They rely on their bodies, and the armed color can strengthen their bodies to a terrifying level, just like a flesh and blood body suddenly added alloy steel in general. So he must learn the two hockey training methods. He originally planned to learn from Garp, but this guy has a tough mouth and can't break up at all. Then there is Rayleigh, but because of the transaction between his wife and Rayleigh, Rayleigh does not trust him, which also leads to him not teaching him at all, just find an excuse and leave the hall. Yang Feng was very helpless about this, but he also thought clearly. There are many ways to learn hockey. The worst he can do is go to the island next to the Amazon to practice by himself. Luffy can practice it, why can't he? There will always be a time when he can practice it. Moreover, as a Quincy, he is not afraid of those with Logia ability, so naturally he is not in a hurry to need armament color and wisdom color. These are plans prepared when he cannot become stronger, so he is not in a hurry now. 0 request flowers, 0. Paramesha fruit users are really troublesome. Such abilities are like Sengoku. They are difficult to deal with. But what kind of fruit user is this little girl? She explodes and turns into an angel. Advertisement. Zephyr said he was really confused about this. When it exploded, he thought Bambietta was an explosion fruit or something, but now it has turned into an angel, so he was confused. After all, no matter what Bambietta is at the moment, from every aspect, it looks like a mutant mentality fruit like Sengoku. Old man, have you rested? Then the second round is about to begin. A sound like an oriole came, and Zephyr suddenly woke up from his deep thoughts. Zephyr suddenly looked up and saw that Bambietta's wings were spread out. It reached a terrifying 4 meters, with countless light bullets condensed in it. 0. But these light bombs are not blue, but incandescent. They look like small suns, exuding terrifying power fluctuations. Seeing this, Zephyr's eyes suddenly twitched. He really wanted to ask what kind of fruit power user Bambietta was. It was okay to appear in angel form, but he turned into a non-user and didn't even play blasting. Bang 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 bang. Before Zephyr could complain, countless light bombs bombed down again, but this time the power was different. As long as these light bombs hit the ground, they would create a super large crater of more than 10 meters, and a line of energy would form in the sky. Cross bombardment. Looking at the energy cross rising from the ground, everyone couldn't help but sweat. What if this happened to them? Wouldn't even the dregs be left? This is simply an exploding angel. Angels who play with exploding are really rare. Yang Feng immediately became interested. He was also startled by Bambietta's explosion. Subconsciously, he thought of Icarus, the queen of air combat angels. However, this is not the world of things sent from the sky, but the world of One Piece. He can only think about it. At this moment, Bambietta has directly changed from a beautiful and moving angel to a demonic explosive angel. The style of painting has changed a little too quickly. Chapter 67 Double Entanglement, 6th update, please subscribe. Advertisement. Boom boom boom. White crosses formed of pure energy appeared on the ground like mushrooms after a rain. The white energy directly illuminated the entire coast into pure white. It was obviously night, but it made it look like daytime. With such a huge movement, even the residents of Logue Town were completely awakened. Looking at this day like night, none of them knew what to say and could only regard this as a miracle. Hurry up, hurry up. This is a good opportunity to make headlines. If the reason is photographed, I will be promoted and you will get a raise. Everyone, please drink and be clear. Hurry up and take action. Countless newspaper reporters were like cats that had noticed the fishy smell. They rushed towards the coast one by one. They didn't care about life or death at all, but this was normal. After all, they relied on this to make a living. How could they, 850, if they didn't work hard? How can it be as strong as first-hand news? Bang bang bang. Zephyr had no choice. With such a terrifying and dense explosion, he could only wrap around the weapon again and forcefully blast away the light bombs. It was not that he didn't dodge, but that he couldn't dodge. After turning on the holy body, the intensity of the explosive bombs was. It's been strengthened several times. Scary little girl, it seems I can't hide my clumsiness anymore, otherwise I will be the one who loses here. Zephyr's eyes suddenly changed, and purple-black gas appeared in his hand again. Armed color, second entanglement. The originally pitch-black weapon color was once again coated with a layer of purple weapon color, and Zephyr's fist became even larger as a result. I'm afraid that right now, if I raise my head and open my head, I can wrap a child in it. Come on. The current Zephyr is more like a person who ate the zone devil fruit and entered the orc form, but Yang Feng knew that this guy did not eat the devil fruit, but was entangled again with a layer of armed color. You must know that this is not as simple as 1 + 1. To be honest, Yang Feng feels pain just looking at the purple-black fist. Zephyr has cultivated his weapon color to such an extent. What about Garp? Instantly Yang Feng thought of Garp, with his red and black body armor. Can he also be entangled for the second time? What will he look like after the second entanglement? Yang Feng felt terrified when he thought about what Garp might change into after being wound twice. It turns out that the biggest boss is hidden here. The more he thought about it, the more likely it became for Yang Feng. Advertisement. Damn, Marine Garp's reputation is much greater than that of Zephyr, and now Zephyr, who is at his peak combat power, is like this. Yang Feng doesn't want to continue thinking about it. It's really terrifying. No wonder Burrow said he couldn't handle Garp, it turns out the old guy was hiding his clumsiness. Boom. The huge purple-black fist hit the explosive bomb and ignored the explosion. It instantly knocked the explosive bomb away, and then directly exploded the cross-shaped energy. The terrifying explosive power actually exploded all the pure energy. The physiques of people in this world are really incredible. Barrow, who had always been lazy, immediately widened his eyes and looked at this scene in disbelief. At this moment, Bambietta was also panicking, my attack was blocked so easily. Once upon a time, a chase started, but this time Zephyr was no longer the Zephyr before. Not only his hands, but also his arms were wrapped with armed colors. Using powerful armed colors to strengthen the leg muscles, Moonwalk's speed is almost several times faster. Coupled with the terrifying armed colors on the arms, Bambietta's explosive bombs were knocked away with a punch the moment they touched it. The gap between the two continued to narrow, and Bambietta was also anxious. If he continued like this, he would be caught. Fei Lianzhao. The moment he was chased, Bambietta used the instant power of Fei Lian's kick to leave the place and appeared 100 meters away, looking at Gufa with a gloomy face. Zephyr's explosion shocked her. She never imagined that Zephyr's combat power would be so terrifying after it fully exploded. Her own explosive bombs were instantly shot away or even exploded. Old guy, you are really strong. This is my last blow. If you can block it, I will lose. As Bambietta raised his hands above his head, just like Sun Wukong condensing energy bombs in the Dragon Ball, a huge white light ball condensed out and grew bigger and bigger, instantly exceeding 10 meters in diameter, like a huge like the sun. It's really dazzling. I can't maintain this state for too long, so let's decide the outcome. Advertisement. Zephyr's arms also tightened, and he fell from the air to the ground. Although he could use moonwalk to fly, he was stepping on the air and had no focus. He couldn't keep stepping on the air when receiving attacks. He didn't. Such an idiot. So he fell to the ground, looking for a good position to exert his strength. So strong. Both Teacher Zephyr and that girl are so strong. How can humans be so strong? It's a lie. A large number of Marines and recruits immediately had doubts about life, because there were such terrifying people around them. This is the so-called Black Arm Zephyr. That's why it's called the Black Arm Zephyr. Hina also opened her mouth wide at this moment, with a look of disbelief and unwillingness. The disbelief was due to the strength of the two of them, and the lack of sweetness was entirely due to Bambietta's appearance. This little girl looks about the same as herself, and even a little younger than herself. Why is her fighting power so terrifying? So she is unwilling to give in. Of course, if she knew Bambietta's age, she might not be unwilling to give in, but feel happy. Bar. You can die now, this is my strongest trick. Seeing the terrifying light ball above him that had reached a diameter of 50 meters, Bambietta showed a cruel smile and threw the giant ball directly. Barrow, go and protect that warship in 5.3. We still need to use it. We can't just be affected by them. Yang Feng was also helpless. He actually used such a terrifying large-scale destruction capability. It was heaven-defying. Such a range attack is probably unmatched by even the average Logia. After receiving the order, Barrow used his flying feet to quickly reach the port. If the aftermath arrived here, he would be able to block it as soon as possible. Scary little girl, let me educate you properly. Originally he was worried about his students and subordinates, but after seeing Barrow's actions, Zephyr felt relieved. Although Barrow was only protecting the ship, he also protected his students, so he was relieved. Looking at the slowly approaching ball of light, his fists were clenched tightly, ready to explode at any time. Chapter 68. One move is missing, 7th update, please subscribe. Advertisement. The huge sphere that shimmered with white light crashed down like the sun falling. Zephyr couldn't help but be moved at this moment. Even after entangling him twice, he was not sure whether he could block this thing at this moment. But now I can only bite the bullet. Armed color, secret, black arm. Shuangquan clenched tightly, and the two giant purple-black fists slowly turned into jet black, and became a little more concentrated, but the power was even more terrifying. Black arm is not only a nickname for Zephyr, but also a manifestation of ability. Such concentrated weapons collided with the white light ball. After the collision, the light ball did not explode immediately, but became deadlocked with Zephyr's fists. However, the huge impact of the stalemate between the two made the Marine soldiers and recruits unbearable, and even their thin bodies were blown flying. Even Hina and others could only hold on to the railing tightly, but they still a few of the weaker ones were blown away and sent to the hospital. If it weren't for the anchor, the warship would probably have been blown away immediately. The one with the best luck at the moment is probably Smoker, because he was shot into a hornet's nest by many shadow guards. At this moment, O1 is lying comfortably in the cabin. Cultivation. So at the moment, he has the best luck and is the most comfortable compared to people outside. It's so strong. Just a collision caused such a storm. Will we all have to face pirates like this in the future? Some of the recruits have already begun to feel scared. Their strength is still very weak. After experiencing such power in advance, some people will naturally not be able to bear it. Why do many novels emphasize gradual progress when practicing? And the teacher also taught them to take it step by step and slowly, and did not tell them about the later state or anything like that, saying that it would be harmful but not beneficial. Naturally, it was because not everyone is as innocent as Luffy and does not have enough strength, but they have witnessed top-level battles, which can easily destroy their confidence and think that they will never be able to reach this level in their lifetime. So seeing such a battle in advance is actually not a good thing. Unless you are the protagonist or have a very optimistic personality, there is no need for it. Advertisement. As the saying goes, the strong get stronger and the weak get weaker. At this moment, when Hina, Binzi, Ain and others saw Chang Mian like this, their eyes were full of desire, and their persistence in power became even more obvious. But some people did show endless fear and despair when they saw this scene. How could they become strong under such emotions? It would be good if they didn't just kill them. Full armed colors, 6 styles, hidden gun meteor. Zephyr's fists instantly spread out and clenched quickly, leaving only 2 fingers exposed together. Then a terrifying force burst out instantly, and the huge white ball was instantly blown away. The impact generated by Zephyr's feet at this moment instantly crushed everything within a radius of 100 meters, and even his nose and body began to bleed continuously. After experiencing the power of this white ball, Zephyr did not dare to let it explode on the island, otherwise Logue Town would probably be affected, so he could only explode with 12 points of strength. At the cost of serious injury, he forcibly used the finger pistol secret to blast the giant white ball into the sea. The white ball quickly flew for more than 10 kilometers, and then exploded. The huge energy fluctuation directly blasted a crater of several hundred meters into the sea, and set off huge waves that crashed towards the island where Logue Town is located. The size of the waves is no less than the tsunami created by Whitebeard, and it is extremely terrifying. Really, if the ship is damaged, the young master will probably be angry. All things penetrate and cut. In desperation, Barrow could only raise the spiritual spear Tiagrain in his hand, and suddenly a blue Reiatsu shot out from it, but it was not a bullet, but a laser. The spirit laser that was completely condensed by Reiatsu extended infinitely and reached the location of the waves in an instant. After seeing this scene, Barrow held the spirit gun and quickly moved from top to bottom. The terrifying waves were instantly cut into two. Then Barrow swung his spiritual gun horizontally, wanting to shoot, instantly cutting the upper and lower parts of the wave, and the huge wave was directly cut into pieces. Naturally, the waves without power cannot continue to exert their destructive power. When they reach the coast, there will be only a little wave left, which just makes the ship wave a few times. So strong. It's so easy to cut the waves. Are these three guys so strong? Advertisement. In an instant, the Marines were sweating again. How can we fight? My boss's face was already covered in blood just to deal with one of them. Now there's another one. He doesn't look any weaker than the other one. He can kill the waves in just a few blows. Cut. This guy Barrow is really a show-off. Such a huge movement naturally attracted Bambietta's attention, but Zephyr opened his eyes wide at this moment, moved his feet, and immediately released Moonwalk and Armament Hockey at the same time, as fast as a rocket. Arriving in front of Bambietta. No, it's too fast, there's no time to defend. Bambietta, who had just recovered from Barrow's actions, shrank her eyes when she saw this scene. She was about to use the flying kick, but she found that 367 Reiatsu was not enough. The blow just now was already all her power. At this moment, she doesn't even have enough Reiatsu to use Flying Knuckle, and only has a little Reiatsu left to maintain flight. When, sure enough, Bambietta, who had closed her eyes subconsciously, suddenly heard the sound of gold and stone hitting, and there was no pain in her body, so she immediately opened her eyes. Bambietta, you were so scared that you closed your eyes. I have to say you look a bit girly like this. At the last moment, seeing that Bambietta could not move, Yang Feng naturally took action without hesitation. At this moment, Zephyr was also at the end of his strength, and because of his lack of mercy, the punch he fired at this moment was not very strong. So Yang Feng used the soul-cutting object to directly block Zephyr's fist. Another one, are you all monsters? Seeing another kid blocking his fist easily, Zephyr, who had exhausted all his strength, closed his eyes and fell down, creating a new big hole in the ground. Yang Feng didn't bother to care about him. Although his physical strength was exhausted, the height was still not enough for a body-training madman like Zephyr to fall to death. At most, his injuries would be aggravated, and his life would not be in danger. Chapter 69 The End 8th update. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Little girl, you are working so hard. Do you know that if I didn't block it for you just now, you would have had problems? It seems that you lose this time. Yang Feng shook his head as he spoke. Although Zephyr's last punch just now wouldn't kill Bambietta directly, the force would definitely knock Bambietta to the ground. Her body was not as strong as Zephyr's. So pervert. So even if she didn't get hurt at all if she fell like this, Bambietta would definitely be seriously injured at this height. Strictly speaking, Bambietta lost. Zephyr resisted her moves in order not to affect others. Otherwise, as long as he ran farther away, the aftermath of the explosion would probably be difficult to hurt him. Even if he was injured, the extent of his injuries it won't be very heavy either. So Zephyr lost to justice. Bambietta didn't think so much. She only thought about how to defeat Zephyr, or even kill Zephyr. Other things were not something she would consider. As for the death of innocent people, if you die, you will die. Really, people already know it, so you won't say it again. Bambietta said with an, I'm not happy, expression on her face. Her little mouth pouted so much that she could hang a soy sauce bottle, but the next moment her body suddenly relaxed, her Reiatsu was exhausted, and her whole body started a free fall. Ah, help me, young master. When Bambietta ran out of Reiatsu, she suddenly became frightened and screamed. There was a solid floor below. If she fell hard this time, she would probably break a few bones. What a troublesome little girl. Speechless, Yang Feng could only follow up with Felian's feet and help Bambietta. At this moment, the posture of the two of them was a bit awkward, which was the legendary princess hug. It's just that one of the two looks like a girl of 15 or 16 years old, and the other is a real 9-year-old kid. Such movements look very weird, after all, they are both children. Advertisement. Thank you so much, young master. Yang Feng suddenly complained about his body, as if the resentment accumulated for hundreds of years was instantly exerted on the previous owner of this body. As the saying goes, being unable to eat is the biggest torture. It will take years for a 9-year-old kid to do anything, but his body can be very cute and popular. But when he thought of this, he thought of Momonosuke, this wretched little kid, who had just echoed what he said in his previous life. Ace's revenge does not need to be avenged, Aunt Kaido does not need to be beaten, Shank's face does not need to be given, and the Pirate King does not need to misbehave. But Momonosuke must die. That guy used his identity as a brat to even eat the food of his two older girls. When he first watched the anime, Yang Feng was so filled with hatred that he joined Momonosuke's must-die army and became their leader. One member. Of course, these are all digressions, let's get back to the topic. Yang Feng quickly brought Bambietta to the ground. Looking at the girl in his arms who was still acting coquettishly, he said that he really couldn't bear it. Although his body had just begun to develop, his soul was mature, so he had no choice but to throw Bambietta down. Bambietta, who was still immersed in her dream of a princess, suddenly felt a pain in her butt and buttocks, and woke up immediately. Hey, are you already on the ground? The young master really didn't even inform me and just threw her on the ground so rudely. It's really too much. I'm so sick. Bambietta screamed in dissatisfaction. She actually didn't know why she dared to shout at Yang Feng. According to their memories, Yang Feng was equivalent to Yhwach, and she didn't dare to act casually in front of Yhwach. Yelling. After shouting, Bambietta realized that she was too presumptuous, and it was after defeat, so her confidence suddenly disappeared, and her delicate little face fell silent for an instant, as if it said I am guilty, please punish me. Of words. Yang Feng laughed out loud when he saw this scene. He felt that the feeling just now was pretty good. Although he inherited Yhwach's skills, he didn't want the same emotion that Yhwach had towards his own people. Advertisement. It was a bit too cold-blooded. After all, he was one of his own subordinates. He directly activated the Holy Spirit to get back his power when it was no longer needed. How heartless and crazy this was. Yang Feng swore that he would never do this in his life. Well, I don't blame you. On the contrary, I hope you can continue to maintain your own personality. Of course, you won't be so cruel to your own people. Everything else should remain as usual. I like the liveliness very much. Remember that I am me, not Yhwach. After leaving a sentence, Yang Feng walked towards the big pit in front of him. At this moment, Zephyr was still lying in the big pit. Backquote. It's really different, Barrow, I believe you. This majesty is really different from the previous one. This kind of majesty is the majesty I like. After thinking for a while, Bambietta smiled. This was a smile without any suppression or pretense, and it was also the most innocent smile. She had completely identified with Yang Feng at this moment, rather than an emotion imposed by the system. Young master, wait for me. Seeing that Yang Feng had walked some distance away, Bambietta immediately shouted and followed quickly. Black Arm Zephyr is worthy of the name Black Arm. If it weren't for the fear of problems for the residents of Marine and Logue Town, he wouldn't have become like this. Xiaobang, haha Jiao Bai, ask the shadow guards to take him, and we will return. Let's go to the warship, it's time to set sail. Yang Feng glanced at Zephyr in the pit and said, such a person should not die here, and he will betray Marine sooner or later, and Yang Feng will not just kill him without any grievances. Little Bangabi, are you calling me, young master? Bambietta was stunned for a moment. You must know that her young master called her by her name before. Why did she suddenly change her title? Don't you think it's very affectionate to be called like this? You must know that you, Barrow and the Knights of the Star Cross will all be my companions in the future. Yang Feng said with a smile on his face, but this is only for girls. He can't let him call Barrow, little Barrow. He will probably be disgusted to death by himself before he calls him out. So it is limited to cuteness. Girls, that's it. Chapter 70. Robbery, Unexpected Gains 9th update, please subscribe. Advertisement. Teacher Zephyr. After arriving at the warship, Ain and others immediately screamed because they saw Zephyr being carried on the shoulders by the shadow guard. Old Zephyr, I will return it to you first. Although the injuries are relatively serious, they are not fatal. It is estimated that he can recover in about a month with his physical fitness. In addition, this warship belongs to me, so I don't have any objections. Quote. Yang Feng returned the Zephyr and said with a smirk on his face. After hearing this, the colonel of Sika League also rolled his eyes, so what else can we do after you said so? As the former admiral, Black Arm Zephyr has been tortured to this point by you, do we still have a choice? Colonel Sika League looked helpless at this moment. The only thing he was lucky about was that these guys were not here to kill people, but just wanted to kill someone. Just a ship. The captain of Sika League was also speechless about this. Just for such a ship, he ended up fighting like this with Zephyr, especially in the last fight. If Zephyr hadn't shot out the ball of light, they would have died. Of course, even if Zephyr doesn't knock the light ball away, they won't die, because Barrow is still there. Barrow is responsible for protecting the 950 ships, so he naturally has to protect them. Soon under the command of the Sika League, the people in the warship quickly evacuated, leaving nothing behind except their belongings. Wait a minute, your name is Colonel Sika Meng, right? Don't leave yet, I have something to ask you. Suddenly Yang Feng looked at Sika Meng as if he remembered something. What can I do for you? Sika Meng's heart suddenly trembled, wondering if the young master was up to something again, but he did not dare to ignore Yang Feng and could only ask cautiously. You warships are all training recruits, right? Yang Feng asked, looking at the recruits who were packing up their clothes and leaving. Yes, because after Zephyr Admiral retired from his position as Admiral, he became the instructor of the recruit training camp, so he trains recruits. Sika Meng replied cautiously. Advertisement. Since it is a vessel for recruit training, is there any devil fruit? Yang Feng's eyes lit up instantly, and his current target was devil fruit. No. No. Sika Meng's expression suddenly stiffened. Not to mention that there was indeed a devil fruit on the ship, but he was not good at lying. His face was hesitant when he lied, and his face was red and his neck was thick. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell at a glance that he was lying. You lied, you must have, so come out now. Yang Feng said with a funny face, you have this big character clearly written on your face, but you still say you don't. But it's the fruit that will be handed over to the headquarters at that time. Sika League was on the verge of tears. This guy actually targeted devil fruit, but devil fruit had to be handed over to the headquarters for distribution. You don't seem to understand your situation. You are all prisoners now. Since I dare to rob your warship, I naturally dare to rob other things, so Mr. Colonel. You'd better hand it over obediently, otherwise I can't guarantee that you Marines will be able to return to naval headquarters flawlessly. Yang Feng immediately became happy. This guy still didn't understand his identity and status. At this moment, he was no longer a colonel, but Yang Feng's prisoner. Although Yang Feng had no interest in the prisoners, he could still do it. Use this as a threat. No, I'll give it, shouldn't I? You must not hurt these Marines and recruits. Sika League suddenly shouted in panic. These recruits were all brought by Zephyr, and they are also the most talented group, so they cannot be discounted here, otherwise the value will not be comparable to that of 2 devil fruits. That's right, there are 2. There are 2 devil fruits on the warship. Abda one was from the pirate ship on the way here, and the other was found by the Logue Town defenders. The defender here was also a borer, so he was naturally taken care of by Zephyr. The devil fruit was also kept by that guy for bribes. Both of them are zone fruits, which may not be very good for other people. But for Yang Feng, all comers are welcome, no matter what paramesha, zone or logia, for him devil fruit is devil fruit and it has the same effect on him. Advertisement. As for eating devil fruit, don't be ridiculous, he doesn't have the means to become stronger, so there is no need to bet his fate on the so-called devil fruit. Soon, Sikameng and 2 of his subordinates took out 2 banana-shaped devil fruits from a large box. All the devil fruits were placed on Zephyr's ship. After all, there is nowhere safer than here. They planned to take it away secretly before, but now everything is a dream. It is good to be able to exchange for a small life. It's such a pity that there are only 2. If there is another one, wouldn't I be able to directly summon the 3rd time? And the strength will be improved to a higher level. Yang Feng could only shake his head at this. It was not easy to collect these things. Being able to get 4 of them in Logue Town was already pretty good. His current idea is very simple. When he goes to West Blue, he will pick up 1 or 2. He does not believe that there is not a single fruit in the sea. It is just that he cannot find it. Just like Enel, people on Sky Island are not 8 thunder fruit. So he was not in a hurry. After all, he already had 2 admirals. Even in the New World, he could walk around casually. As long as he did not commit suicide and provoke the world government, there would naturally be no problems. Well, can we leave? Sika Meng looked at the 2 devil fruits with a painful expression on his face and asked. Let's go, this warship belongs to me. After Yang Feng got the devil fruit, he immediately chased them away. After getting the devil fruit, he had no interest in these people at all, even beauties like Ain and Hina. He couldn't walk when he saw beauties. People. Besides, he's so small and can't do anything, so why bother asking for trouble? Soon, Sika Meng and others left the warship with happy faces. Fortunately, these people were not heinous pirates. After all, many heinous pirates would massacre innocent civilians at will in order to increase their bounties to show that they were strong, even some Marines were no exception. So he was also worried that Yang Feng might be such a person. If they really planned to raise the bounty, he would have no place to cry. If Yang Feng knew what this guy was thinking, he would keep complaining. Laozi didn't want to be a pirate. Laozi was the one who wanted to create an empire. Chapter 71 I seem to have seen it before. Open black lens bracket 10th update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. That Sengoku guy actually asked me to go back so early. When I go back, I must eat all his senbei. On a top warship, a middle-aged man wearing a dog skin hat said with an unhappy expression, and while talking, he kept eating and drinking, and stuffing senbei into his mouth. This person is naturally the most unreliable Garp in the Marines. None of them have seen him do anything, they only know that he is strong enough. As for other Marines, they are used to seeing this scene. Everyone in the naval headquarters knows that Garp likes to eat senbei. After all, this old man lies in Sengoku's office all day long eating and drinking. If he hadn't been a Marine hero and was an old friend of Sengoku, he would have been there. I was kicked out. Vice Admiral Garp, I have seen the island where Logue Town is located, but there seems to be something wrong. A Marine who was in charge of the observation said that through the telescope he saw numerous large and small potholes on the coast, which looked like they had been bombarded by countless cannons in turn. Problem. What's wrong? Garp asked curiously. In his eyes, even if Kaido comes, Zephyr can deal with it. Even if he is defeated, he can still escape calmly. After all, Zephyr is in its prime now. I don't know how to describe it. In short, there are countless big and small craters on the coast, and there are still a few average-priced warships on the shore, but there are no top-notch warships. After saying this, the observer became confused. Although Zephyr quit the admiral team, it does not mean that his prestige is gone. Including Garp, although they are vice admirals, they are indeed heroic vice admirals. Therefore, the ships of Zephyr and Garp are top-level warships, and this kind of warship is most suitable for them to use as vehicles. There are no top warships. How is it possible? Didn't that guy Sengoku say that Zephyr would be here and make peace with us? Garp was stunned, not knowing what happened, but this did not prevent them from continuing to sail, and soon they arrived at the coast. At this moment, Garp also saw countless potholes. He knew at a glance that they had gone through fierce fighting, and there were no bomb fragments, so he knew that these things were made by people without even thinking. Some powerful people and demon fruit power can indeed do it. The devil fruit in this world is too weird. Although a person can only have one ability, he can develop it to a terrifying level. Advertisement. For example, Luffy, a rubber fruit, has pushed up his strength, even reaching the admiral level. In short, there are no garbage fruits, only garbage fruit users. The abilities of all ability users depend on imagination, force. Otherwise, you can't even imagine the moves. How can you develop fruit abilities? Therefore, people with fruit abilities are also divided into strong and weak, some are powerful and some are trash. Excuse me, is this Vice Admiral? After the ship stopped at the shore, Marine on the other warship shouted. As for Garp, he was not a fool at all. He just took his own people there. Just kidding, is there anyone in the entire naval headquarters who doesn't know him? I don't know how many people recognized him just with this dog skin hat. Which branch of Marine are you from? Garp asked. We are Marines who are in charge of recruiting training at naval headquarters, and we came to East Blue with Zephyr Instructor, but we were attacked before, and even Zephyr Instructor was seriously injured. The Marine soldier said nervously. After all, Garp is also a hero, so it naturally made him very nervous. What? He was injured. Who did it? Could it be that Kaido hit someone? That's right, he must go from here if he wants to leave East Blue, and he might have a fight with Zephyr. Quote. Garp immediately tapped his palm and said with sudden realization, but little did he know that his imagination had completely deviated from the course. He never imagined that the people who attacked Jinfa were all people who lived in Windmill Village a few days ago. Take me to see Zephyr, I want to see how injured he is. Upon hearing this, the Marine soldier immediately saluted and led Garp to Zephyr's ward. At this moment, all the top warships were robbed. As for the conditions in Logue Town, they were not as good as on this ship, so they naturally received treatment on the ship. Zephyr, you old boy was beaten like this. It's really embarrassing. The former Admiral Black Arm Zephyr of Naval Headquarters was beaten like this, ha 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 ha. The first thing Garp did after seeing Zephyr was not to worry, but to laugh happily, looking at Zephyr with a funny face. 0. Please give me flowers. Advertisement. The Marine soldier next to him looked at him with twitching eyes. Only Garp could be so unscrupulous. If others dared to say this, they would probably give Zephyr an iron fist after he was healed. Stop laughing at me. You don't know the importance of the matter. I was beaten like this by a teenage girl. Can you believe it? So now it's better to report it to Sengoku as soon as possible. I'd really like to discuss it with you. Zephyr said with a helpless look. He had just woken up and met Garp not long ago, so he could discuss with Garp what to do. What? How could you be defeated by a teenage girl? Are you sure your brain wasn't damaged? Garp suddenly asked with a puzzled look on his face. If Zephyr hadn't looked serious now, he would have doubted whether Zephyr was talking nonsense. If it were Sherlock Linlin, it would be the same. I'm not talking nonsense. It's really them. They have special powers and can float in the air. The people under them are dark and use bows and arrows. But that's not the case with those 3 people. A little girl can defeat me. The destructive ability of the person is no less than that of a person with Logia ability. As for the other 2, one is a child over 9 years old and the other is an adult, but he is carrying a huge gun. Zephyr described the appearance of the 3 people in his consciousness, and the more he listened, the bigger his eyes became. What's wrong? Are you listening to me? Zephyr immediately felt unhappy when he saw Garp in a daze. What time of day is it now and you are still going crazy? You are sick. No, I'm just thinking about one thing. Garp said with a dull expression. What's the matter? Zephyr immediately became interested. It would not be a simple matter that could make this old madman use his brain. Except for the little girl, I think I've met the other 2 people you just mentioned. Garp blinked and said helplessly. Without further ado, I would like to ask for support. There will be 10 updates tomorrow, 10 updates in 2 days, which is absolutely conscientious enough. This is also the limit. I only have 5 chapters left. If I type 5 chapters in one day, my head will feel dizzy. Chapter 72 Marines Discussion, first update, please subscribe. Advertisement. What? Have you seen it? Where did you see it? Zephyr also widened his eyes and asked with a look of disbelief. In his opinion, since the target of these is a warship, then he must have taken action after seeing Garp before, but looking at Garp, there was no problem at all. No, I have seen the child and the adult with a gun you mentioned, but they did not attack me, and they have been my neighbors for several months. Moreover, they seem to be called Quincy, and they were my neighbors before. Defeated Kaido. Garp explained everything that had happened in the past few months, and Zephyr's eyes opened wider and wider. He did not expect that this little girl was not the most powerful in combat. The other one is, now think about it, if these guys kill, they may be finished. What is their purpose of 690? Is it just for a warship? But what do they need a warship for? Zephyr was confused again. He was robbed inexplicably, and 2 devil fruits were also robbed. Perhaps it's to get over the upside-down mountain. I've seen their previous boat. Although it's pretty good, it's almost impossible to get over the upside-down mountain. It's probably going to be smashed by the current if you get on it, so I grabbed it. Your warship should be for crossing upside down mountain. Garp said after remembering Yang Feng's previous words about going to West Blue. Just to cross a topsy-turvy mountain. It's really arrogant to rob my warship for such a trivial matter. You can't pretend you didn't see such behavior. Zephyr's face turned dark immediately. He actually beat himself up seriously for such a small thing. This kind of person is really speechless to the extreme. He doesn't know what to say at this moment. It's better to report it to Sengoku. Just let Sengoku solve any problem by himself. I am a small vice admiral, and you are just an instructor now. Why do you care about so many things? By the way, do you want to eat senbei? As he spoke, Garp took out a bag of senbei from his clothes, tore open the package and started stuffing it into his mouth. Advertisement. You are the only one who won't worry about this kind of thing. To be honest, sometimes I really envy your heartless character, but I am destined to be impossible. Zephyr said helplessly. In his opinion, Garp's lack of heart was indeed good. At least he didn't have to worry about anything. Like Sengoku, even his brain was busy after becoming a marshal. It's not like he didn't know these things. Okay, world government is not as simple as we see it. Maybe you don't know it very well, but we, Marine, are just a small part of the force. The accumulation of world government over such a long time did not happen in a day. Garp shook his head as he spoke. He seemed to know something, but he didn't point it out directly and didn't know what he was thinking. Zephyr could only shake his head. Although Garp is unreliable most of the time. But once you become reliable, you are definitely the best companion, but even if you keep many secrets and don't tell them, they can't do anything about it. Soon this matter was reported to Sengoku. A hero vice admiral and a retired admiral reported the matter at the same time, which naturally made him feel extremely important. Moreover, the photo was taken by the video phone bug and sent to him. Okay, let's express our opinions. After all, we are the ones who defeated Kaido and Zephyr. Please tell us how to deal with it. Sengoku asked after putting down some photos on the table. There were already several new admirals in the office at this moment, as well as he, the extremely intelligent vice admiral. Alala, it's really scary. Even teacher Zephyr was seriously injured, and he even defeated Kaido. How terrifying. Kizaru said with a strange emphasis, but people who are familiar with him will definitely hear that his tone is not indifferent, but full of solemnity. After all, they are Kaido and Zephyr, not just cats and dogs. We must get rid of them. Justice does not allow anyone to violate it. This is Akainu, the original Akainu. He is probably the person who everyone among the pirates thinks should die the most, except Momonosuke. Advertisement. Since Kaido and teacher Zephyr both failed and were defeated by two of them, it means that the three of them are almost capable of crushing the three of us. How should we deal with such enemies? Aokiji should be calmer. Looking at the people in the photo, it was indeed difficult for him to accept it at first. After all, there was a 9-year-old kid, a teenage girl, and an adult man who looked to be in his 20s. 0. There are only 3 of them, but their fighting power is so strong that they don't seem to be easy to deal with no matter how you look at them. Aokiji, are you afraid? You are not allowed to back down in the face of justice. Akainu looked at Aokiji with a gloomy face, and the anger in Aokiji's eyes seemed to turn into S*******N and was about to gush out. I don't know if it's because of the conflicting fruit abilities or something else, but the two of them are almost mortal enemies, and they can start fighting with just a word, while Kizaru is just watching the show from the sidelines. It's not fear, it's just that we don't want to lose unnecessary losses. Even if the 3 of us are dispatched together, we probably won't be able to deal with these guys. Then it's even more impossible for others. Sending Vice Admiral will only lead to death. Only we can do it. 3. Have you ever seen 3 admirals take action at the same time? Aokiji said expressionlessly. Marine and the others did not dare to touch the pirates who were too powerful in combat. Just like some at war, one can imagine how powerful the Whitebeard pirate group is. Marine has gathered 100,000 elites, but how many are left in the end? Definitely not even 1 out of 10. It's really a shame to go head to head with a big pirate. They only offer symbolic rewards. In many cases, they even go back to negotiate terms after provoking a terrifying big pirate. After all, Marine 5.4 is not the opponent of all pirates. Marine is a department under the world government, and pirates are condensed from the entire sea. Therefore, Sengoku and others will naturally not be thankless. They usually kill these newcomers in the first half of the Grand Line, but even so, some people still rush out and break through in the first half of the Grand Line and New World. Developed a certain reputation. Okay, you two, please stop talking. These guys just robbed a warship and 2 of Zone's devil fruits. They didn't even cause any casualties. In my opinion, it's better to have a good relationship with them. At least it's better than having one more big pirate. The 2 people who were stopped by he then said that these things are precious to ordinary people, but they are indeed not very valuable to them. Chapter 73 The Turbulent Sea, second update please subscribe. Advertisement. Indeed, it's just a top-level warship and 2 Zone devil fruits. It's much better than a few more big pirates with a bounty of more than 1 billion. However, if word of the warship being snatched away would be bad for Marine's development, it would be it's not good. Sengoku also touched his chin and nodded, but the next moment he remembered the warship being robbed. It's simple. Didn't they stay with Garp for a while? Just announce to the public that they sent it. As for the devil fruit, only a few people know about it, so don't worry about it. He had already thought about how to deal with it. He didn't want to take on more enemies, just treat it as an investment, and he didn't want to kill anyone, so why bother with him? No, I absolutely disagree. We Marines are just. Such actions are obviously contrary to our justice. In this case, who will trust us Marines? Akainu quit, it was like taking gunpowder. In his opinion, evil people are evil people, whether they are his descendants or his relatives. Everything one has to do with crime is crime, so his justice does not allow him to let criminals run free, and he has to win over them. Akainu, watch your words. Everything comes first with Marine and world government. Regardless of whether it is justice or not, this is what I made clear when you first took over as admiral. If you can't bear it, just go back and become vice admiral. Sengoku said with a livid face. He never thought that Akainu would be so disrespectful to him. When he promoted the three of them to admiral, he made it clear that they must dare to accept all darkness. The higher the rank among Marines, the more they understand the darkness of Marines and the darkness of world government. Therefore, those who want to become admirals must be able to endure this darkness. Otherwise, he is not suitable to be an admiral, and Sengoku will naturally not let such a person become an admiral. This is what he said from the beginning, this is why Garp is not an admiral. The same is true for why Zephyr became one and then quit, not only because he began to get older, but also because he began to be unable to accept it. Advertisement. The longer time goes by, the more they feel the shamelessness of the world government, but they just do things under such a ruler, and Zephyr still protects his own justice in his heart. So much so that he has not completely lost confidence in Marine. Marine is corrupt, but this is only part of it. Most Marines are focused on justice. Zephyr's idea is simple. He becomes a recruit instructor and instills his ideas of justice into these young people, so that these young people will naturally not go astray. Of course, there are still such people among his students. Corrupted Marines are not uncommon, and there are also some who couldn't bear it after being exposed to Marine's darkness and left. I don't care who he is, and I won't go against your orders to find him, but once he enters the first half of the Grand Line, he will be my hunting target, regardless of whether there is a reward or not. After speaking, Akainu walked out with a red face. This was not shame, but anger, as if lava was about to burst out. Really, Akainu's character is still too radical. I have long said that he is not suitable to be an admiral, but you just don't listen. Surukan and Akainu, who left angrily, said helplessly that Akainu was an extreme kid in her heart and did two extreme things. People who do not leave a way for others to survive will naturally not leave a way for themselves to survive. So in Suru's view, Akainu is not meant to be an admiral. He only needs to be a battle general who can fight wherever he wants. However, in the end, he was promoted to minister by Sengoku because of the lava fruit. Now the disadvantage has emerged. Akainu, the admiral, has begun to be disobedient. Who knows if he will cause anything one day? There is no other way. He has become an admiral. I can't resign him. Even if I want to resign, I need a reasonable reason. Sengoku also felt a headache. Akainu had an extreme personality and was not suitable for doing things that used his brain. The other two, Kizaru, were lazy as hell and were lazy no matter what they did. Advertisement. But I have to say that sparkling fruit is indeed very fast, at least its efficiency in doing things is not that bad. Finally, it is Aokiji. Aokiji has a good personality and is good at thinking when doing things, but another problem is that Aokiji is too lazy, even lazier than Kizaru at some times, and Aokiji is also incompatible with each other. I have to say that Sengoku is really worried about the three admirals he trusts. Then this time the matter ends here. Two of these three people have at least reached the peak admiral level of combat effectiveness. Such combat effectiveness is not suitable for us to provoke now. After all, although several years have passed since the Great Pirate Age began, there are still a large number of new pirates emerging. Now is not the time to increase enemies. According to the latest information, one of the trainee crew members on Roger's ship has arrived in New World. And there has been a conflict with the ability users under Sherlock Linlin. Sengoku said helplessly, and the topic shifted to Shanks. This young man's name is Shanks. I've also heard that he has good strength and potential. Of course, the most important thing is that he is a crew member on Roger's ship. And you also know that he is excellent in every aspect. It's like a smaller version of Roger. If there are no restrictions, a second Roger might be born. He said with a serious face, she didn't want to see big pirates running around. One pirate King Roger had already caused so many things, and if there was another Roger, they wouldn't know what to do. Have the trainee crew members on Roger's ship grown to this level in just a few years? Kizaru, it's up to you to handle this matter. Find a way to capture this pirate named Shanks. There are already many people on the sea. I can't stand the ravages of the second Roger. Sengoku said to Kizaru, who looked lazy. Alala, are you trying to nip the thread in the cradle? But it will be very troublesome if the second Roger appears. I know, I will set off for the New World immediately. It is really troublesome. Why is Roger dead? We've added so much work. Kizaru walked out with a look of reluctance, and the next moment he turned into a golden light and disappeared from the place. He was already used to using the fruit ability to travel. After all, it is very convenient, isn't it? Chapter 74 Upside Down Mountain, third update, please subscribe. Advertisement. Is this the so-called Upside Down Mountain? This world is really strange and wonderful. It has given birth to such a strange existence. The water flow actually goes up upside down. Such water flow is indeed impossible for the previous ship to pass. Barrow looked at the surging water in the upside down mountain and sighed with surprise. Such a scene cannot be seen in the Shinigami world. Strictly speaking, the Shinigami world is just a relatively normal world. The most bizarre world is probably the captive world of food, where nothing is normal. After entering the new world, the One Piece world began to slowly show its differences. Whether it is the giant elephant lord or the 10,000 kingdoms on Cake Island, they are all wonderful things. Yes, this is Upside Down Mountain. People who want to enter the Grand Line generally enter from here. This is also the connection point to several other sea areas. Yang Feng doesn't care too much about the Upside Down Mountain. They are Quincy's. Every stronger Quincy has the ability to levitate. Stepping on spirit seeds and so on is a patent between them, Shinigami and Hollow. But the world of pirates is too big. It is basically an endless sea. Even if you enter, you can't fly in the sky all the time. That's why Yang Feng chose ships. After all, this is the mainstream of this world. Let's go. Go to West Blue as soon as possible, and then go to Grand Line, but we still have many companions that we haven't gathered yet. Yang Feng showed a smile as he spoke. He has seen the strength of everyone in the Star-Crossed Knights, and this is not the peak yet. They can continue to improve. Learning the hockey and physical skills of this world can make them stronger. It will be easier to form an invisible empire by yourself. After all, forming an invisible empire means being an enemy of the Revolutionary Army and the world government. Who knows if the world government is hiding something? Even the Revolutionary Army is a mystery. If we call all those guys here, I'm afraid this ship won't be enough. Barrow glanced helplessly at the large top-level warship, but the people of the Star-Crossed Knights had very different personalities. Maybe the war madmen would start fighting at some point, and the ship wouldn't be disintegrated by then. Okay, there shouldn't be a big problem. What I need to summon you is Devil Fruit. Although I have gotten a lot of luck during this period, to be honest, this thing is not a big cabbage in this world. I want to have it. It's ready. Yang Feng shook his head as he spoke. He was now thinking about whether to wait until he recruited a few more companions and start robbing when his strength reached the level of 4 emperors. Advertisement. To be honest, there are too many kingdoms in this sea, and there is also the Holy Land Mariajoy. Even Tiger can touch it and free the slaves, so why can't he? It seems to be the lair of the celestial dragons. There are a lot of good things in Tianlong's treasure house. After all, even the devil fruit is used as an item for performances. This shows how extravagant these guys are. So Yang Feng thinks that the lair of the celestial dragons is I have to go there anyway. Okay, keep sailing, we will rush over immediately, find Robin as soon as possible, and then head to Mariajoy. Yang Feng immediately gave the order. The next moment, the ship quickly entered the reverse current and entered the upside-down mountain, rising all the way up. The speed reached a terrifying level. The current is so strong that it can lift such a huge warship. Barrow once again said in surprise. He was still a little unaccustomed to this world. Even if people looked strange, why were these natural environments so strange? Okay, stop complaining. It's pretty good here. You'll know what it's like when you enter New World. The atmosphere and environment in New World are dozens of times worse than the first half of the so-called Grand Line. Yang Feng, who was riding the soaring warship, opened his mouth to explain. That's right, my dear, sir, there are ships rushing up ahead. If they collide, even the top warships will have problems. Barrow said with a look on his face instantly. Yang Feng squinted his eyes and glanced at the ship opposite, and the next moment he saw the pirate flag on the ship. North Blue's great pirate, Vandal, who has a bounty of 55 million belly, is said to be the one who ate Zone's dog fruit. He also does all kinds of evil, so we just happened to take care of him. After seeing the ship's flag, Yang Feng remembered the newspaper he bought from Newsbird before, which clearly recorded information about pirates in various oceans. Advertisement. With his photographic memory at the moment, he could remember it naturally and easily. It just happened that this guy was a guy who didn't do it, so Yang Feng was not polite. His spiritual bow opened instantly, and a blue line looked like a spider web. The selling bow appeared in front of Yang Feng. The pirate ship on the other side also discovered the warship. Captain Vandal, a warship rushed up from East Blue. If we collide, it will probably smash our ship. The observing sailor yelled. Then give it to Lousy. Since it's coming from East Blue, then it's not a problem. Give me a hard blow. Do you think it's Marine Lousy and he will hold back? What AF ******* G unlucky person. When he entered the Grand Line, something like this happened. Vandal said with a cigarette in his mouth and an unhappy look on his face. The next moment, the sailors returned to the cabin and prepared to fire cannonballs. Quote. The next moment their cannons hadn't fired yet, Vandal discovered that countless blue arrows from the opposite ship were shooting at him and others. They were so densely packed that there was no way to avoid them. Do you want to sink Lousy's ship with a mere arrow? You're so naive, haha. The next moment, Vandal turned into a huge ghost-faced Tibetan Mastiff. The Tibetan Mastiff's body was more than 5 meters high. The Tibetan Mastiff jumped up and quickly struck the arrow with its paws. It's good to have confidence, but it's wrong to be blind. Yang Feng's current combat power is at the admiral level. Even if he doesn't attack with all his strength, he can still hit the average vice admiral's attack. How could he, a mere pirate with a bounty of more than 50 million, be able to withstand such an impact? Sure enough, when the huge Tibetan Mastiff's paws caught one of the arrows, the seemingly indestructible dog's paws were directly pierced by the spirit arrows. The huge body lost its balance and was exposed to countless arrows. How is it possible? Lousy is the great pirate Vandal. No. In the end, Vandal, the great pirate of the North Blue who dominated for a while, was wiped out, and his ship was shot into pieces by countless arrows. As for devil fruit, Yang Feng never thought about it. If they are eaten, they are pirates, not marines, and they will keep it for themselves to get. Chapter 75. Go against the current and enter West Blue. 4th update, please subscribe. Advertisement. Young Master's strength is getting stronger and stronger. It won't be long before he can surpass me. Looking at the spirit arrows shot by Yang Feng, Barrow sighed helplessly. The young master is still young and needs the blessing of himself and others, but when the young master fully grows up, he and others will become mere foils. Although on the one hand I am happy for my young master, on the other hand I feel helpless that my strength cannot be improved. Okay Barrow, don't lament like an old man. The stronger the young master is, the happier we will be. After all, the young master is not the original majesty, right? This time Bambietta spoke. Yang Feng was not Yhwach, not the cruel majesty who would regard them as victims once they failed. That's right. The stronger the young master becomes, the happier we should be. After all, we are now companions. After following Yang Feng for so long, Barrow naturally understands Yang Feng's character. He regards them as companions, not subordinates, let alone victims. They are items that can be discarded at any time. So you can rest assured. Isn't this, your majesty, what we want? After Bambietta finished speaking, he looked at Yang Feng again, completely ignoring the extremely violent wind for 250 seconds. This small wind was too weak for them. Barrow, do you see the intersection ahead? I don't want to go to the Grand Line, just rush into the West Blue Bar, wrap the ship with Reiatsu, and rush straight over. Yang Feng looked at the sea current and said that he did not want to transfer to the Grand Line anymore. I understand, young master. Barrow became serious again, and the next moment blue spirit particles enveloped the entire ship. Controlling spirit particles in the air was a Quincy's specialty. Little Bumpy, use your explosion to push the ship over. Although the strength of the ship is sufficient, it is stuck and has insufficient power to rush out. Explosion. I'm good at this kind of thing, it's up to me. Countless spirit spheres condensed in Bambietta's hands, and then smashed towards way behind the ship. Advertisement. Boom boom boom. Suddenly countless explosions sounded, and the driving force generated in the water instantly pushed the warship out and entered West Blue. Bang. The ship suddenly plunged into the ocean, but Barrow's condensed intelligence shield directly blocked the seawater like a coated ship, ABCI isolating the seawater. The ship was inserted into the sea because of the excessive momentum, and soon it was again surfaced. Ha, it's really exciting. It's much more exciting than playing roller coaster back then. After the ship surfaced, Yang Feng couldn't help but scream. This kind of excitement cannot be experienced by flying. This feeling of weightlessness is very exciting for him. But then again, is this West Blue? Fortunately, I bought a West Blue navigation chart at a high price from the large Chamber of Commerce in East Blue. I don't know if it will be useful. Yang Feng came to the cabin and took out the Vice Admiral nautical chart, which he bought in East Blue before. As the largest transportation hub, East Blue Logue Town will naturally welcome guests from the Grand Line and several other seas. The Grand Chamber of Commerce is a chamber of commerce that covers several oceans and even the first half of the Grand Line. It can be considered a good organization, but it is not as good as the Golden Emperor. Let me take a look. Let's go to the nearest transportation hub, Greenwood. I made it up myself, please don't comment. Greenwood's status is similar to Logue Town, but its reputation is much smaller than Logue Town. After all, it is just a transit station in the sea area. In addition to the name of the transit station, Logue Town is famous for Roger. It started in the town of the End. Many big shots watched Roger's execution here. For example, Doflamingo, Hawkeye and others are like this. But Greenwood has no such legend. Its existence is nothing more than a hub. I don't know where Robin is hiding, but over the years, Robin has always been discovered by Marine when he has been hiding in Tibet. There should be some clues from Marine. After all, the bounty of almost 80 million is not something anyone can resist. Of course, the fact that Robin is so hunted is not all because of the number approaching 80 million, but because Robin is only 8 years old. Of course he should be 11 or 12 years old now. Not everyone is as pervert as Yang Feng. Yang Feng has a cheating device, but Robin does not. She can only rely on her half-baked flower fruit to evade pursuit, but she also goes through a lot of hardships in the process. Advertisement. He encountered countless betrayals, so that in the end he didn't trust anyone. To be honest, even Yang Feng himself couldn't trust others. That's it. I decided, let's go to Marine first and see where Robin was last seen. Having made up his mind, Yang Feng immediately gave the order, and Shadow Guard quickly sailed the ship to Greenwood Island, planning to start from here. After all, the West Blue Naval Headquarters is here. However, there was also a small episode when they were moving forward, and that was Sengoku's declaration in the new issue of the newspaper brought by Newsbird, which was about their seizure of the warship. Sengoku actually chose to compromise. It's really rare, but this is a good piece of information. Looking at the content in the newspaper, Yang Feng was surprised for a while, and then showed a meaningful smile. Young master, what information is this? Why can't I see it? Bambietta pressed directly against Yang Feng, only a few centimeters away, which made Yang Feng uncomfortable. After all, he was an old virgin in his previous life. Okay, don't get so close. I'm not used to it. Yang Feng said awkwardly for a while. Era Allah, can it be said that, young master, you are still an innocent little boy? It's really rare. Bambietta posted it again with a wicked smile on her face, constantly teasing Yang Feng. Damn little girl, wait, give Lousy a few more years, then you will be the one to beg for mercy. Yang Feng thought with a malicious look on his face that if he wanted to make her proud for a while now, there would be plenty of time for her to beg for mercy in the future. Okay, let's get down to business. Since Marine has chosen not to conflict with us, there is only one possibility. They are afraid. After all, our combat power is here, but only 3 admiral levels are not enough to make them afraid to this extent. Quote. Yang Feng shook his head as he spoke. Auntie's 3 generals and Kaido's 3 disasters are all admiral-level combatants. They are neither slanderous nor boastful. The same is true for Whitebeard. The captains of each division except Marco are admiral level. Several others are close. The main reason is that there are enough numbers, but has Marine kept his hand? People are not afraid of you, so what's the point of starting a fight with you, the world's number 1? If you say fight, just fight.